Peace and love, family. How is everyone doing tonight? Thank you for joining us.
Can anybody hear me? Oh, sorry about that.
You have to mute your mic, brother Travis. We just started the. We hear you now, brother.
Okay,
but I'm gonna mute your mic, brother, because we were doing the intro and you just totally cut sister.
Oh, sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay. That was hilarious. Okay. Okay. Peace and love, family. Round 2 of the. Thank you for joining us on the RAM Book Club, Resurgence of the African Mind, where we seek to liberate African minds by reading one unit of work at a time. Family, everyone knows by now because we're almost done. Yes, yes, yes. We are reading The Blueprint for Black Power by Baba Amos Wilson. Family, last week we were into chapter 22. Last week we talked about the demographic foundations of an African American nation within a nation. So we talked about the importance of a nation, the economic potential, and class resources and things of that nature. This week, family, we're going to get into chapter 23, The Black Church, Key to Black Economic Empowerment. I am Lily La Poete Speaks. To join us every week, if you want to watch or be a part of the panel, you go to lilylapoetespeaks.com. You go over to the Blueprint for Black Power thread, click on it, and then you click on the appropriate tab. I am the author of Perceptions of a Misplaced African Family, Volume 1. If you don't have your copy, you can also get your copy from our marketplace at lilylapoetespeaks.com. If you have not yet got your copy, family, I'm not sure why, but you should get your copy. They've been selling, they're still selling, still hot. If you like the ebook in particular, some people like ebooks, you can get the ebook on Kindle or whatever device you would prefer at Amazon.com. But if you would like the hardback copy or the paperback, I prefer you get it from me at lilylapoetespeaks.com. Okay, we're going to let the panel introduce themselves. Thank you for joining us.
Sis, so I want to shout out some folks before I even introduce myself and my products.
All right.
All right. If you don't have abs you wear, get your abs you wear. Go to absyouwear.com. Support the movement. You know, Nike who, sis? Adidas.
Tell them, Queen.
Puma who? You know. So our Black folks, man, in the community are doing wonderful things. You got brothers and sisters that are producing all sorts of goods and services. And so we got to support. So please support Abs You Wear. You can go to absyouwear.com to get your pair of sneakers. We also have Panther Wear. Grab my Panther Wear. So you got Panther Wear. You go to pantherwear.com. I hit up brother Benjamin Inja on Facebook. I went to Benjamin to get mine. Got them pretty fast too. Get your Panther Wear. All right. Again, brothers and sisters are producing goods and services in the community, and we got to support them. Also, I got another product right here, and I've been pumping this up on my social media pages. Coral Oil. For our brothers and sisters, there is a Black owned and operated toothbrush company, Coral Oil. All right. Toothbrushes, you get a pack of 4 for like $5.99, something like that, and you end up paying $1 and some change for shipping, right? So go to coraloil.com or go to WeBuyBlack.com to purchase your toothbrushes. Sister Lily, I also heard that there was a Black family who just launched a battery company. Like they manufacture their own batteries, their own AA.
Who's the company, Queen?
I forgot the name of the people. Or the name of the company. I forgot, but I guess if we Google it, you know, Black family or Black owned battery company, it should pop up. Someone was sharing it on Facebook, so I plan on.
But no one said who it was, but I didn't get to Google. Let me see.
Yeah, but I don't know the name of them, but I plan on researching it and supporting those brothers and sisters. Get your True Laundry detergent by our brothers and sisters. Also get your toilet paper, paper towels, tissue, rubber gloves, cleaning supplies. You can get that from
Tubman Company, sis. It's called the Tubman Battery Company.
Yes. That was the name. That rings a bell. So they're called the Tubman Battery Company. So they named that in honor of our ancestor, Harriet Tubman. I'm telling you, I'm so proud of our brothers and sisters doing some good things. But peace and power, family. My name is Dr. Oya. My aunt. I am the co-founder of Ed Anime Productions and the executive producer of Meltrek. Meltrek is an animated series that teaches the history of African people from an African-centered perspective. Visit edanimeproductions.com to purchase your copy of the films. The films are available not only in DVD format, but they are also available in digital format. So again, you can visit edanimeproductions.com to purchase your copy of the DVD. Also, sis, we finally dropped the storybook. The storybook for Meltrek episode 1 is now available. So you can visit the website and get it. And sis, I want to see if I can flip this. I don't know how much I can flip it to show you guys.
Oh,
but I mean, I love this book. The book is awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. You have high definition images printed on high gloss paper. And we also provide, additional details that we didn't present in the film. So for example, in the film, we said it was Zosar who built the famous step pyramid, but he just had it, he commissioned the building of the step pyramid, but it was actually Imhotep, right? The architect who designed the step pyramid. So we teach the babies about Imhotep. We teach them about Imhotep. We teach them about some folks that we didn't mention in the film, like Tutmos II. The children learn about him in the storybook. So I'm telling you, this is a must-have. I'm telling you, it's a must-have. It also contains a glossary for babies. So please visit animeproductions.com to get your copy of the Meltrek storybook ASAP. And we also have a coloring book available for the babies. All right. Our kids have to color. Coloring does a lot of things for the brain, sis, that I didn't realize until I started doing my research on coloring. So coloring does a lot of things. They say that coloring, it helps with coordination, task completion, and also concentration. So you got to get your children into coloring. So get the coloring book from edanimeproductions.com also. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic. Sis, of course, happy to be here. We're almost done the book. I know we have like 300 pages left. Yeah. We're combing through. I think we have about 9 chapters or 8 chapters left after tonight. And I'm looking forward to this discussion tonight. The Black Church, is it the key to Black economic empowerment? He has that with a question mark. And so, family, you'll find out tonight during the discussion. Brother Travis, or Brother Travis?
Brother Travis, introduce yourself, brother. Brother Impu.
Hey, family.
Hey.
How y'all doing?
Hi.
Hey, I'm ready to jump in this. I'm ready. This chapter is powerful. I'm ready to do it. I ordered mine last night, sis. And Lily, I was on your site, but for some reason I couldn't. So I'm gonna have to go back and order the book tonight.
You couldn't order it?
Yeah, I was having issues I don't know if it was on my end or what, but I did get my Meltrek last night. And also the book by Dr. Diop that Brother T was talking about last week. So, but I definitely want to get your book.
Thank you, Brother Impu, for supporting.
No problem, no doubt.
If it happens again, please let me know. If you get like an error message, just let me know what the error message is so I know.
Okay. But I'm just ready to jump in. I'm excited about the resurgence of the African mind. Peace and Black power.
Brother Travis?
Peace, ma'am. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Getting this brother Travis from Detroit, aka Shemsu Netter. This is a chapter again, like brother was saying, this is a chapter I've been wanting to get into. We got a lot of material to reference basically a lot of these Negro mega churches and their relevancy of the condition that we in. I'm just ready to get started. Hotep family.
Hotep. Brother Chaos.
Yes, good evening, Black people. Can you hear me good? Do I sound perfectly clear?
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. There's so much things on my minds. People, it's just ridiculous. So much things out here in media and all this. It's just ridiculous. But, tonight, come here to center to go through another chapter. It's always, I guess, what's the word? Ease in the mind of, a direction and a solution to a lot of things. That I hear a lot of people talk about, you know, they want to have a seat in the front into institutions that they not control, but then can complain of a lot of things where, you know, all this could be just fixed by, you know, going to the direction of we have to at least have our own down the line. There's no other way through this, you know. It's just, it's like, you know, our race right now doesn't look good because we just begging. Just have a seat and then just have some acceptance or any form. And say, how can we continue to go on with this in this century, go on to the next century like this? It's already shown that as time progresses, only thing happens, the system just turns up on us more than ever. And not only that, but I conclude that institutions like the jail system is not really designed for these other race people. They're only designed for one race, of us as people. And this is a fact. And the reason why I'm saying is because if we look at the amount of crimes these people do and what they get caught on to that, what we do, participants do, to them is they get a slap in the wrist. Like if somebody has a position of, you know, like heavy drugs, like heroin, cocaine or something, and they get caught with it, or they go to the police office, they don't do no long-term or prison sentence. They get a couple months and some little rehabilitation. Unlike our people that get caught up on it with just one little small, like they do 20 to life. So overall, you know, we have to look at our reality as is and say we got to build institutions for our own to really slowly get out of this. There's no way.
Absolutely, brother.
So, you know, that's the only little frustration I have on it. But, you know, tonight we're going to deal with the church. We're going to go into the so-called pastors tonight. And the ones that are church lovers tonight, don't watch this video tonight. We're going to say some things that's going to hurt you because you give $1 billion to every church every Saturday, a Sunday. And notice they didn't put in shit back in these communities. So let's start this bill.
Yo, homeboy went off from the jump. Yo, he just jumped right in. Much respect to you, Brother Chaos. You went right in, man. Love you, brother.
That's right.
Dr. Maat, Sister Lily, I forgot to acknowledge the ancestors. I definitely want to say peace to the ancestors, and we're asking for their energy tonight.
Okay.
And one other thing, I'm sorry, I forgot to say, yesterday was Baba Amos Wilson's Earth Strong. So, you know, I'd like to say happy 77th Earth Strong to the elder that would have been here today. This is the 77th Earth Day. So that's why I bring that to the attention.
I got something to say about Savior's Day. We're going to build on Savior's Day and some comments that is very controversial about blackness on Farrakhan on Savior's Day today.
Also, Savior's Day was this weekend?
It was today. It just got through finished. He said some very controversial issues about black. He didn't even mention, he talked about, he built on them Jews all day long, how they come against him. He didn't even mention Libya. He didn't even mention our African brother struggle over there. Didn't even mention it.
That's been my only hang up with Islam, is that the black Muslims anyway. I'm sure some that's listening might comment in, but they do not acknowledge our ancestors at all. It's sad.
Right,
but,
right.
That's my issue. Other than that, I love the organization and
right.
and what, you know, the skill sets that they bring to our brothers and sisters, you know, interpersonal skills and all that good stuff. But that right there, that's where they lose me at.
It's some definite color issues in the Nation of Islam I'm going to address tonight. I know about it. I've been knowing about it for years. A lot of people who are former members, like me, that was in it. I'm gonna deal with that tonight because he mentioned he said some things that was about black.
We get to that section, family. So we jump in ahead and we need
build on it.
So okay, all right, good.
And I just want to say this too before we start, Sister Alima, that I hear echo. I just want to say this, that people are definitely watching us. I was in everyone's place yesterday. And I was speaking with the owner, and a brother heard my voice, turned around, and asked me my name. I told him my name, and he was like, "Are you a part of like a book club on?" That's better. I don't hear echo anymore. But he asked me, he said, "You a part of a book club on Sundays?" And I said, "Oh, absolutely. The Resurgence of the African Mind." He's like, "I watch you guys every Sunday. And he was like, I don't have the book. He said, I can't afford to get the book right now. He said, but I tune in every Sunday. You guys provide great information. He's like, keep doing what you're doing, sis. And this was a young brother, maybe about 20 to 21, you know. So I just want to say that people are definitely tuning in, and they're definitely watching us and becoming very insightful, you know, as a result of tuning into the RAM Book Club. But go ahead, sis. Go ahead and start.
Okay, that's what's up, sis. That is, at the end of the day, that is the goal. Okay, family, chapter 23, the Black Church, Key to the Black Economic Power. I'll just start at the beginning. In his book, The Negro Church in America, E. Franklin Frazier refers to the Black Church as nation within a nation. The reference is apt, at least as a potential reality. The holistic concept of the Black Church includes the incorporated mainstream or established denominations of the Christian Church, as well as large host of independent, unincorporated, and storefront churches. A number of these denominations are national and international in organization and scope, i.e. they are operationally structured around systems possessing national, international hierarchical, administrative, and communication structures. Churches are the major growth industry in the African American community. They provide its most influential, best trained, experienced, and independent leadership cadre. Both before and after the Civil War, the Black Church was the primary social institution which structured and organized life in the African American community. And I thought that was interesting, of course, as we all know, but definitely at those times when we were more as a unit because of what was going on around us, we had to be a little bit more closer. So it was, the church was essential in everyone's lives at that time. It definitely was. Yes, family?
Just want to say, even in the comment that I had made last week, as far as being in the ministry, that this struck a chord with me, that I was able to learn and glean a lot of what Dr. Wilson is referring to as being trained and learning to how to lead. You know, all of those qualities you do learn, you know what I'm saying, if you open yourself up to that. So I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater with the comments that I made last week. There are definitely, if we use it right, and we'll go further, Sister Lately, I'm sure, but if we use the structure of the church properly, there are definitely some things that we can learn from.
Absolutely. And I think she went out and came back in because we were hearing the echo. Sis, unmute your mic and let me see if we still get the echo. All right, let me talk.
Yeah, it seemed like every time you talk, say something, sis.
I'm just saying something, sis.
It seemed like when you say something, that's when my thing starts going on.
Yep, and then I noticed when Impu was talking,
it was
going up.
A cross connection or something weird going on.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. So I'm like, I guess if y'all are talking, we'll just mute mics and stuff like that, and you know, and then. But voices, please. Impu made a great point. Like you said, we're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but you know, we got to understand what we have and know how to use it to our benefit.
Right. Okay, family. The next paragraph at the bottom of the page. While the Black Church has long functioned as the central religious, social, and political institution in the African American community, it has also long functioned as the economic institution as well. A little bit further down, most economic studies of the Black community tend to ignore the contributions of their religious background to Black economic mobility and development. The Black Church formalized and legitimated the traditions of mutual aid and self-help, which emerged from the attempts of slaves to survive the traumas of enslavement and to humanize their servile conditions. The next paragraph, under mutual aid or beneficial societies and churches were among the first social institutions created by Black people. They often existed in a symbiotic relationship. Sometimes mutual aid societies led to the formation of Black churches, and at other times, These societies were organized under the rubric of the churches. Freedmen often played a leading role in establishing both institutions. That's what I had on 556.
Yeah, that's what I had too. I think the next thing I highlighted was that these societies were often quasi-churches attempting to meet both religious and social needs. So the point that I want to make, sis, is that churches weren't, it wasn't strictly a religious institution. You know, back then it was like, okay, it was definitely religion, but they also wanted to assist people with meeting those social needs. It wasn't just focusing on God and saving souls.
Yeah.
You know, it was big.
That wasn't even the largest. It wasn't even the largest focus. It was one of the focuses, but it wasn't, you know what I mean? This just the core of what it was for, because they needed a sanctuary, which is why they call it a sanctuary when you go to church. They needed that safe haven to have some type of place so they could be. I would imagine there's probably people in there that weren't even religious, but if that's where they had to go, you know, in order to be safe and to be involved within the community, then that's what it was.
Right. So it was like a safe haven.
Exactly.
It was a safe haven for our people. And so again, like, you know, it wasn't just about religion, you know, it was an institution that strived to meet our social needs. And so that's all I had also, sis. Okay. You know, I just wanted to emphasize to the listeners that that the church was involved not only in moral development, but also economic development, self-help. These are the things that they stress. So on page 557, it says that Black churches, mutual aid societies, and fraternal lodges contributed to the formation of the Black self-help tradition, as Sister Lily Lapointe just said, and to the establishment of an economic ethos and uplift for the race that emphasized the following virtues and moral values: industry, thrift, discipline, sobriety, and long-term sublimation, rather than immediate gratification. Of these three institutions, Black churches led in spreading this ethic of economic rationality among the newly freed masses during the Reconstruction period, partly because they were most inclusive. They were the most inclusive community institutions, and their membership often included members from both mutual aid societies and lodges. For example, he goes into the AME Church Review, and I highlighted this because it says that in this review, it says the leading African-American magazine in the post-Civil War era published many articles which stressed the importance of economic and moral development, self-help, and racial solidarity. So these are the principles, sis, that the church once stood on: the importance of economic and moral development, all right, self-help, and racial solidarity. I cannot remember, and I got to be honest, I cannot remember the last time I went to a church where they talked about economic development. And I'm not saying that they don't, sis. I'm just saying I haven't been to a church in years where the pastor got up there and talked about self-help, racial solidarity, economic and moral development. You know, when I've gone to church services, they talked about moral development. They talked about character. They would talk about, you know, being good people, but that's where it ended. You know, that's where it stopped. The buck stopped right there. You know, at just being a good person, being like Jesus, being Christ-like. You know, so their focus was on moral development. I have never heard them focus. I never heard them stress or teach, you know, economic development, racial solidarity, and self-help.
That's facts. And to be honest with you, the only one that I have heard it spoke about, which was my first experience at a white church, and it was an AME church. So they were they were AMEs like us. But I thought it was interesting that the pastor's sermon was almost like a financial briefing or something. And I was young, but I still picked up on the difference that I noticed that at the Black church, there was so much emotion going on, but not much said. And at the white church, when I say he was breaking it down and telling these people about stocks and bonds and about how they're going to put their monies together and they're going to go and buy this other property across the street, and then they've just purchased a little mini market and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, wow, this is like completely different.
Absolutely. And sis, it just seems like with the Black church, and I got to agree with you, everything is based on emotion. You know, like everything is emotional. It's emotional driven. It's emotion driven. Like, yeah, we go there. We want to feel good. We feel good for the moment, but then we go back out into the community, and the community is dilapidating by the day, right? You got brothers and sisters who don't have employment, right? You got people who are sick, people who are hungry, people who are homeless, but we just feel good for that hour. The drum is beating, the organ is playing, and we feel good, but we're not good. And see, a lot of people attack me. I just finished I made this point on a post. And on my Facebook page, I was talking about the $1 million that Drake had spent. He had a $1 million budget for his film God's Plan, and he went to this homeless shelter in Miami. He took the women there shopping. He brought in carts of toys to the children in the homeless shelter. He gave out a scholarship check, and he did a lot of nice things, sis. Like, it was nice, but on my Facebook post, I stated that these were nice gestures, and that was it. That was all. These were temporary feel-good moments.
Right.
And I'm at a point, sis, where I don't want our people to just feel good for the moment. Right. I want us to be in good positions always.
Yes.
You know, but we have been conditioned to just want to feel high for the moment. And that's okay with us. And we get excited, and we, you know, and so a lot of people, you know, in different groups, I put this message in various groups. People kind of hating on Drake, and what about you? You have $1 million to give the community. What are you doing? So it turned into that sort of back and forth. But the point that I'm trying to make, sis, is that, you know, we've been conditioned to want to feel good instead of strive to be in good positions.
And I personally felt that was a very powerful point that you made, because what you were saying were you weren't taking anything away from what he did. See, this is why it goes back to the same thing with church. We're just so emotionally driven, even in our responses.
Yes.
We can't take our emotions and put them to the side so that our logic can peek through. Because the thing is, yes, it is cool. It's cool to take a poor person and say, give them a $50,000 check. You know what I mean? And then just throw them out there to the world. But what are they going to do? Did you give them some type of classes or something so they know what to do with this money? Are they going to know, okay, maybe being that, you know, I'm not really that stable, maybe I should, instead of pay rent, maybe I should see if I could buy a little piece of property that's going to be cheap with this money. You know what I'm saying? Am I going to be able to have a job? Like, who's going to help me? Because other than that, I'm just going to take this money and blow it, and I'm still going to be poor. So that's all you were saying, is about self-sufficiency and about for the long haul for people. That's all you were stating, and I didn't see anything wrong with that.
Is that a new concept, though? Meaning the way that we approach church. If you look historically, whether we go to the abolitionists or we go to the civil rights movement, you know, we might have our disagreements with the 50s, yeah. But politically, I think that the church has been very relevant historically.
Yes.
But I think that this is a new concept of this, you know, prosperity gospel.
That's right.
You know, that's out here. That most of them got it from Kenneth Hagin. They go to these prosperity schools like Rhema and Oral Roberts University, and they get indoctrinated with this prosperity gospel. But historically, you know, the church has been a center of struggle.
Absolutely.
Wow, you mentioned Hagin. I remember coming into the faith early on, and Hagin, I had tons of books from him.
Me
and
too.
Of course, Kenneth Copeland and his wife Gloria Copeland were students of his. So I used to sit at their Oral Roberts, my bad, Oral Roberts. But I had some by Hagin too.
That's right.
And man, I used to stay up late nights with notes studying those cats, man, until I woke up. You feel me? But going back to what Sister Lily said, there was Dr. Jeremiah Wright, of course. You know, we think about. I mean, he was definitely preaching Christian principles, which are basically white principles. You know, we'll talk about that later. But because he was outspoken and identified with being black, you know, they got rid of that. They got rid of him quick. As soon as Obama started running, it was like, oh, Obama. That was my issue with Obama then. I'm like, man, you gonna diss your pastor, your leader, your spiritual leader, you know, and then go adopt a leader that white folks want you to have, because there's no way you gonna have a black, so-called black president under a black pastor. They was like, oh no. If you're gonna be pastor, your spiritual leadership is gonna be white. We can't. And he talking, you know, he talking too controversial about uplifting and coming against white structure. So, but that's a whole nother. So I think he tackles that later on in this chapter.
I'm trying to think, where are we? Hold on.
Yeah.
Everybody building some powerful topics there.
We were in 557. 557, right in the middle.
Goodness, I don't know what happened with it, Mike. But
557, sis. Right in the middle.
What was that?
Okay. That's chaos.
We keep unmuting it. It's got a bad echo.
Yeah, it has a bad echo, chaos. That's why I muted you, bro. Because it has a bad echo. Try to go out and come back in.
Come back in.
But anyway, at the bottom of 57, it says Black churches and their allied institutions like mutual aid societies and quasi-religious fraternal lodges and the benevolent and burial associations, which often met in the churches, helped to create the first major Black financial institutions. I thought that was powerful, sis.
That's right, Queen.
You know, these Black churches, you know, they helped to create the first major Black financial institutions. It says the Black-owned banks and Black insurance companies. But again, like you said, that was really the cornerstone or the pillar of the community back then.
That's right.
So this is where we met. This is where we were able to pull our resources together to build things for ourselves because we didn't have the outlet. We had no choice, like you said, sis. We had no choice. And so I thought that was very interesting that it really was, well, it was the Black church really that helped to create the first major Black institution. Right. So then at the bottom of 558, he gives us a list of the role played by Black churches and their pastors in the economic development of early African American communities.
Yes.
Can we take a bullet at a time? I can start.
Go ahead.
Okay, Prince Hall, a Methodist minister, established the African Masonic Lodge of Boston in 1775.
The fraternal lodges and churches helped to capitalize Black banks like True Reformers Bank in Richmond and the Capital Savings Bank of Washington, D.C., both founded in 1888.
The True Reformers Bank, the Galilean Fishermen's Bank, and the St. Luke's Bank were all either founded by ministers or closely connected with the churches.
The 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama, has records of a penny saver bank, which was established by the church for its members in the late 19th century. The bank's first president was the pastor.
Brother Chaos, you're gonna grab a bullet?
Yeah. Do I got the echo noise still?
No, you're good, brother.
I'll pass. Yeah. Someone else.
The first building and loan association in Philadelphia was founded in 1886, and in 20 years, there were 10 such associations.
The economic role of Black churches rapidly expanded under the leadership of Booker T. Washington. That's Brother Travis' boy, Booker T. Washington, who often functioned as an unofficial preacher. The National Negro Business League, founded by Washington, the first national organization specifically concerned with advancing the business interests of the Black community, mediated the dialogue and economic relations between the Black church and business community. So at the top of page 559, I want to read this. I thought that this was a very powerful excerpt by Horace Baldwin, the Baba Wilson quotes. He says, for over 200 years, the Black church has played various roles in the Black community, including the temporary refuge from the oppressions of slavery, a needed sanctuary from the freedom trail, and a place of emotional release from racial discrimination and a vehicle of social change. I want to repeat that, Sister Lily. For over 200 years, the Black church has played various roles in the Black community, including a temporary refuge from the oppression of slavery. She said that earlier. a needed sanctuary on the Freedom Trail, and a place of emotional relief from freedom, discrimination, and a vehicle of social change. Education has historically been a major focus of the Black church. During the era, Sunday schools were often the first vehicles used to introduce Black people to the educational process.
That's right.
And half of the historically Black four-year colleges were founded by Black religious bodies, and many can be traced to the Black church. For example, Morehouse College, Spelman College, Tuskegee Institute, now University.
That's right.
The Black church has been a major source of Black leaders. Black preachers have been the inspiration of many in the Black community and were the source of leadership during the Civil Rights era. Such leaders as the Reverends Martin Luther King Jr., Jesse Jackson, Ralph Abernathy, Joseph Lowry, Fred Shuttleworth, Wyatt T. Walker, Andrew Young, Adam Clayton Powell Jr., C.T. Vivian, Walter Atari, I'm famous for messing up the name, guys, and Benjamin Hooks, led marches, organized demonstrations, and were routinely at the forefront of efforts to free Black people from the injustices of racial society. In today's environment, Black preachers must also be successful fundraisers and motivators if the Black church is to meet the economic challenges of society. It says, finally, the Black church must become more prudent with their investments of economic resources. The Black church manages financial resources, which must in turn be invested back into the Black community by leveraging real estate, establishing credit unions, and other initiatives. The Black church can be the catalyst of positive change. I thought that was very powerful. There are also like 6 bullets that follow this paragraph. Can we take one apiece?
Okay, Queen, kick it off. Get it first.
Okay, it is the largest social. Okay, so it says that the Black church is central to the economic development of the African American community for a number of reasons. All right, first, it is the largest social economic institution in the Black community by far.
It is the largest repository of Black monetary wealth. Conservatively, the annual income of the institutional Black church is between $2 to $3 billion.
78.
Oh, go ahead, Brother Pooh.
78% of African Americans are church affiliated compared to 72% nationwide. The church weekly attendance rate was 43% in 1986.
It contains in its national and international congregations the largest pool of professional, semi-professional, professional, working class, and other human resources in the African American and Pan-African communities.
Okay, I found page that. I'm on 560.
Yeah, 560, brother. The fifth book.
All right, bulletin. Is 2 bulletins left or 3 more bulletins?
Number 5, the 5th one, next to the last.
Okay, is it political most influence? That's the one?
Yes.
Okay, it is the political most influential institutions in the African American community. It is nationally and internationally organized. It is the means of independent of Black institutions being supported mainly by the Black community itself.
Facts. All facts. Okay, the chart we have here is demographics of Black church denominations. So they're telling us, Dr. Maat is holding up and showing you the chart, family, on page 560, table 23-1, and they're showing us denominations and the number of members that they have. At the top is the AME Church, if I'm not mistaken, it's still the AME Church. Then you have AME Zion, you have Church of God in Christ, National Baptist Convention of America, National Baptist Conventions of USA, Progressive National Baptist Convention, and the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. The AME Church at this time when the book was printed was 3.5 million, so I can imagine how many people it is now. Going down to the bottom, we have 863,000 members, which of course, Maryland, we know this book is about 20 years old, so it's much, much, much more members now. Moving on to page 561, in the middle of the top paragraph, the committee discovered that 600 churches in the New York City area deposited $152 million annually in 21 banks. This implies that these 600 churches alone deposit an average of over $3 million in New York City banks every Monday. If this one area of one denomination generates this amount of deposit weekly or annually, then it is not difficult to approximate the relatively remarkable amount of money generated by the institutional Black church as a whole. An example of the pool of professional and business talent available to many Black churches is provided by the 9,500 member First African Methodist Episcopal Church of Los Angeles. The church's membership base includes 300 attorneys, 200 certified public accountants, and 700 business owners. And I was waiting for us to get to this because if you think about churches as a whole, the reason why they are able to maintain themselves is because they have professional people who are their members. Because, you know, if you think about it, when you were in church, like that one family that wasn't too well off, you know, like you kind of knew who they were in the church, you know what I mean? Because kind of the church gossip, because everyone was professional. I know the church I went to, they were all doctors and lawyers and, you know what I mean, surgeons and engineers and things of that nature. That's why they can maintain the church. And that's why churches are able to amass these huge $1 million churches and maintain them because of the wealth of their members.
Absolutely. And not only, and then I wanted to add this too to what you were saying. You have members that die and leave, like, you know, you have elderly folks who may not have any children and leave their money to the church. They'll leave property to the church. You know what I mean? Whole life insurance policy to the church.
All facts.
I just want to say, but even in the church world, you got that political. My young king is running around here screaming, y'all, my 2-year-old. But even in the church world, there's churches, unfortunately, that you have the churches like Sister Lily went to, and there's churches even in town here where you have them rich. You got the doctors, you got the attorneys, and then you'll have another big church across town where you have all the reformed drug dealers and prostitutes, and it's big churches, and they're making decent money. But it's funny because when I was in that whole world, like you would go to this particular church across town, it was like, okay, this is how you got to act. You know what I'm saying? Because we go into the uppity church.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, right. The uppity church didn't deal with the other church across town unless there was something going on in the city where we all came together for something.
Less emotionalism. It's kind of dry.
Very true.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the Reformed drug churches. They partied in there.
Ooh, you're a mess. That's true though, because the traditional AME church is boring. They got them old hymnals from the 1800s, and it's slow, and most of the members are old. Mm-hmm. But a lot of those different churches, as you mentioned, you know, with the younger crowd, I would say, is more definitely more lively. Mm-hmm. Okay, the bottom of 561 in the middle of the paragraph, as noted by Black Enterprise, December 1993, the level of giving through the church makes it the one enduring institution in low-income Black communities with the ability to secure major credit. It has been reported that the Black Baptist Church collects an excess of $14 million per week. This figure suggests that the Black Baptists alone collect and raise well over $1 billion per year. It's insane. And that's just one church, that's just one denomination, $1 billion a year. All these churches collectively are amassing millions per week, billions per year, you know, but they're not putting their wealth together.
Right.
Unit as a church unit, even though they have a collective effort, but they don't have collective properties, you know what I mean? And collective job bases that they've developed for their communities as a whole on a national scale, not just on a local level.
Actually, absolutely. I couldn't agree. Couldn't agree. All facts.
Okay, page 562. What you got on this page, Queen?
I just, at the top, Dr. Amos Wilson says that the Black church is famed for its fundraising capabilities.
Yep.
And I've seen that with my own eyes. Mm-hmm. And so he gives this example of a church, Ebenezer African Methodist Episcopal Church, how they revitalized themselves and moved from like an old church to another church where their membership went up, and even their donations went up, and he was saying that they got donations in the amount, they received donations in the amount of $10 million, which which was for the construction of the new church building. I've seen that with my own eyes here in Baltimore. There's a church called New Psalmist Baptist Church. The pastor there is Walter Scott Thomas. And I remember back in the day when they were in the city, in Baltimore City, in one of the most impoverished communities over in West Baltimore. And his membership just kept growing. Eventually, I know he at one point had like 5,000 members. They built a school next door to the church. And he just had this vision that he wanted to move the church into Baltimore County. Okay. And so they raised a bunch of money. And I know within like maybe a few years, they built this mega church right in Baltimore County. So I've seen that with my own eyes, the fundraising capabilities of the church. Even in my home church, like when we needed the roof fixed, it was nothing for them to raise $10,000 to get the roof fixed. People gave $1,000. I'm talking about different people, 1,000 here, 1,000 there, 2,000 here. So it was nothing to raise that money. So I've seen that with my own eyes. So I wanted to point that out. He said that the Black church is famed for its fundraising capabilities. Down at the bottom, as in our following discussion, we shall note how some Black churches, utilizing their own public and private sources, have helped to economically and socially transform the community. So now he's giving us an example of a church called Zion Baptist Church, whose pastor is the Reverend Leon Sullivan. And since I thought this was very powerful example, so I have like the whole paragraph. I have the whole paragraph highlighted because I thought it was just a good example of what churches need to be doing in these communities. I thought this was the perfect example. Now it says, okay, I actually wrote a note next to it and said beautiful example. But anyway, it says since the civil rights period of the late 1960s, there has been a very important development among Black churches regarding economic issues in the Black community, namely the Opportunities Industrialization Centers under the leadership of Reverend Leon Sullivan of Philadelphia. The Opportunities Industrialization Centers grew out of the experience of the civil rights struggles in Philadelphia and developed under the leadership of Leon Sullivan, pastor of the Zion Baptist Church. Educated at the Union Theological Seminary in New York and having served under the tutelage of Adam Clayton Powell Jr. at the Abyssinian, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Baptist Church, Sullivan organized the selective patronage campaign in the late 1950s, which was supported by 400 Black ministers in Philadelphia. The campaign successfully boycotted the Tasty Bacon Company, Sun Oil, Gulf Oil, Atlantic Richfield, and Pepsi Cola. This success led to the request from potential white employers for Black employees with skills in technical fields, which many African Americans did not possess at that time. Sullivan then recognized the need for a community-based employment training facility. Do you hear that? The need. So what they organized the boycott. So you see that 400 Black ministers came together, organized a successful boycott, which in turn made the white employers say, okay, we will hire you. But then they saw that the Black employees lacked the skills in these technical fields. So the pastor said, let me fulfill the need for this community-based employment training facility where they gave the brothers and sisters skills. He says, which was founded in 1964 as the Opportunities Industrialization Centers of America, another economic development project which helped to prepare the way of OIC was Sullivan's 10-36 plan initiated in 1962 in his church. The plan called for church members to contribute $10 for 36 months to support the Philadelphia Community Investment Cooperative. This group of 227 original subscribers grew to over 5,000, with about 400 Black churches participating, and 200 of every $360 subscription was invested in the for-profit Progress and Investments Associates, while the remaining 160 was donated to Zion's nonprofit charitable trust. The Progress Investments Associates built Progress Plaza Shopping Center. So, okay, Sister Alima, this is what you were talking about. You were talking about churches aggregating their resources and building something. So they boycotted. As a result of the boycott, they saw that some of our brothers and sisters lacked the necessary skills. So then he instituted a training facility, right? A community-based employment training facility. Then he took on another economic endeavor, the Economic Development Project, right? He said that where they bought a shopping center, they financed a shopping center. It says the first and largest Black-owned and operated shopping complex in the United States. It also constructed an apartment building, a garment manufacturing plant, and a chain of convenience stores. Zion Nonprofit Charitable Trust used foundation and government grants to sponsor programs like the Housing for the Disadvantaged, remedial education, and other human services activities. Through these projects, Sullivan was resurrecting the historical role of Black clergy and churches being involved in the stimulation of economic development. So I thought that was a beautiful example, Sister Alima, of what churches can do with the amount of money that they have.
That's right. That's right. Because I mean, billions of dollars a year per church. I mean, that is a lot of money being facilitated by Black people per year. And as they've mentioned, and we know churches do look out for their own. You know what I mean? They build schools for their own and things of that nature. And of course, other people can get in as well, but that is the focus, that they build it for their own. But it has to be more focused on the community, like this example that is provided, which I thought was very beautiful as well, Queen.
Yes. Go ahead, Brother Travis.
Brother Travis, you want input?
No, I was just agreeing. That's well said. Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. I don't have anything else for that.
Testimony.
That's all I had, Queen. We can move on to 564.
All right.
Now, you know, Sullivan's daughter took over after he passed. She's a hot mess. She's a material girl, you know, and you know, she just didn't have she don't have the fire of her father, the real African struggle that I see in Mr. I remember Reverend Sullivan's organization, and a lot of the elders telling me about it. But his daughter is just, you know, she's one of those that girl, you know.
Right. Swore.
Yeah.
But I just want to add that is a powerful testimony. I'm glad Baba Wilson put that in there. And there's a couple pastors here, including the pastor that I sat under, that were really radical as far as like wanting to boycott. And when something went down, if someone was racially discriminated, a family would come to certain pastors and we would go get together and do that type of thing. And that still goes on here and there. But there's one particular bishop in the city who has connected with a major healthcare facility in the city here, and he's making it happen. They got an agreement going where kids can go in, young persons that's interested in nursing can go in and shadow or volunteer for a certain amount of hours, and after that, their resume will be looked at and they potentially get that position. So, you know, and this is a Black church that's making that happen. So I totally agree with what Baba Wilson is talking about here.
Yeah, and you know that Brother Sullivan was heavily involved in trading with Africa, and you know, international trade in Africa. You know, he expanded that organization beyond just industrialized education as dealing with international trade with African countries.
I didn't even know that. That's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad he didn't have somebody to be a good successor for him.
That's right. That's what happened. Yeah, he majored. He was doing a lot of import and export trading with Africa. You know, with you know, natural resources. You know, trying to do like the Europeans doing, importing the natural resources out of Africa and trying to create a link like Mr. Garvey put together a long time ago, as you know. Making Africa our central economic source, and utilizing those you know, raw materials, you know, and you know, trading around the world. Sullivan had put that together, but he just didn't have the people, you know, around him. He was dealing a lot in West Africa and also Cameroon.
Okay, nice. Okay, family. Page 564, box 23-1, the Black Church and Economic Development. I just highlighted this here, just talk about different development programs that churches are working on. So I just highlighted different things. The Harlem Churches for Community Improvement, they received $15 million in city and state funds, said they're going to rehab 25 apartments and build 73 more. The Thessalona Baptist Church in South Bronx is constructing a $2 million community and youth center without asking anyone outside the church for a nickel. The Concord Baptist Church reported a $1.7 million collection plate income in 91, and Bethany Baptist Church in Bedford-Stuyvesant said its plate yielded $2 million. And Bernery Missionary Baptist Church in Crown Heights has built 255 single-family apartments, and with a $6 million grant, they're going to build 77 more. Just Baba has given us some examples of different things in the community that the churches are doing. So churches are doing different things economic-wise. And of course, this is, like we said, old, but I'm sure that a lot of these things are probably still going on, family.
Absolutely. This is at the bottom of this box. I thought that this was a very powerful statement that he ended with. At the bottom, it says, in December 1993, Black Enterprise Magazine reported that the initial finance of these projects began with the money from the collection plate.
What page you on?
They didn't get it from a loan. You know, they didn't get it from, you know, a loan or, you know, a celebrity.
Oh, I got it.
These were folks that passed around the collection plate, pulled their money together, and went and built something tangible.
Facts.
And I just wanted to point that out.
Exactly. And then what's interesting to me is that if people understand that it doesn't take a lot per person. You're talking about $10 per person. You know what I mean? So you got 5,000 members, $10 per person. You do that for a couple years, boom, you make it happen. Like, that's not nothing for you to give up $10 per pay period, you know, so to contribute to something that you're trying to build. I wouldn't mind. You know, we do it now with Ulu and different things. So, I mean, I don't see what's wrong with it. And only if the Black churches could just see the power that they really have, and that they how they could really like shake some shit up if they wanted to. They really could, because they're the ones that have the mind of a lot of Black people. So if you have the minds of the people, then you have the ability to shape those minds. And so you know what I mean? You can push an economic, like you said, push an economic plan. The people who listen, they're gonna listen.
Hold up, sis. You gotta say that again, because you just dropped, like, I wish I had a bombshell. You said once you had the minds of the people. Can you repeat that, sis?
Once you have the minds of the people, you can reshape those minds. Like, that's a fact. That's a fact. That is a fact. And so it should be so easy. It would be very easy to transform the church into what it needs to be. It wouldn't be hard at all, because people respect the pastor.
Look at what Ray Hagins did with his congregation. You know, he was remember how he was like a regular Christian pastor, right? And then when he wanted to become African centered and all of that, and I'm not a Ray Hagins fan, but I'm just want to show you, like you said, when you have people's mind, he was able to transform his congregation. Once he started getting, you know, once he began studying, you know, Africans. Now, I don't want to say African spirituality, because that's not what he was doing, but he, you know, Ray Hagins, I know that at one point in time he was a Christian. He was like the ordinary Christian pastor. And he went from being an ordinary Christian preacher to now preaching about Africa. And he brought his congregation along with him.
That's right.
So regardless of who he is and what he's done, because there are a lot of things that he said over the years that I do not agree with. But I just want to show that, like you said, sis, once you have the minds, you can mold and shape and transform and do what you will.
That's facts. I mean, that's what the white man do. That's what he did. So
and still continues to do it
today. Exactly.
At the top of page 565, Reverend Floyd Flake says, this is the Reverend of Allen African Methodist Episcopal Church. I don't know if he's still the pastor. Again, like you said, this book was written almost 23 years ago, 20 years ago. So I don't know if he's still around, but he did say something that was very profound. He said, if our churches ever learn the power they have, we can turn the urban communities of America around and have control of them, says Flake, who is also a U.S. congressman. So that's facts. They have to recognize their power system, recognize the power that they possess.
That's true, Queen. Okay. You want to go on to rebuilding the blighted areas in New York?
Oh yeah. I mean, we could read through every event. We could just talk about, you know, the things that these churches were doing. I know that this is an example Baba gives us of a church in Bed-Stuy.
Yes.
And was just saying how they put their money together, and they said the church owns and operates, you know, a prep school, a credit union, apartment building, and a soon-to-be built 86 unit, 7.2 billion senior citizen housing complex.
That's right. And then we go on to the next page and talk about the LA church lifelines. Here, family, on page 566. So shortly after the riots, the Mammoth 9500 First AME Church of LA swung into action as an economic lifeline for the devastated community. The church created the FAME Renaissance program to fund community services, business and economic development program through private and public funding services. FAME Corps is a nonprofit organization. So Baba's just giving us another example here in LA. He talks about different things that was done in LA. Of course, the FAME Corps, shortly after the Renaissance program was formed, he says that they competed for and received $1 million grant from the Walt Disney Corporation, leading to the creation of the microloan program, which supplies low interest rates for 2,000 to 20,000 minority entrepreneurs in the area.
I thought that was powerful, sis.
Exactly. Yes.
$1 million grant, and then turned around and gave the community low interest rate loans.
That's right.
That was powerful.
Very powerful, Queen.
Mm.
And I also thought it was interesting was talking about the FAME Corporation, and it says, but FAME does not mind delinquent repayment. It requires applicants to present their business plans to a panel of experienced entrepreneurs and bankers. Loan recipients whose business have been in operation less than 2 years must also go through the church's 10-week entrepreneur training program. They have a training program. Sis, we were just talking about this offline. Remember, we were talking about how we start businesses, but we have no type of training whatsoever on how to run a business. We have no idea. I remember when I was in college, when I was first starting out, like 19, and people were talking about, trying to decide what I wanted to do, and I was thinking about a business degree. And everyone was telling me that it was a useless degree, right? So as I got older, and then I really thought about it, and I'm just thinking about it to myself, but if you're going to run a business, why would you think that having a degree in how to run a business is useless? You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a waste of money and a waste of time. But it's like, you just simply think that because you have an idea that simply that I can do it. Okay, I want to open up a clothing store, so I got the money, I'm going to open it up. But how do you run it? Do you know about customer service? Have you taken accounting classes? You know what I mean? The basis.
Because we train our kids to get jobs.
That's right.
We don't train them to be leaders and get and be a creative jobs. That's why my parents and my grandparents thought you're gonna get that nice college degree so you can get you a good job. You know what I mean? That's what they, coming from Tupelo, Mississippi, they were about upper mobility, and they saw upper mobility is that white folks approving of you and you working for them.
That's right. Facts.
Mm-hmm. That was true.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next, we're going to go on to the Atlanta Church Spreads the Wealth. Anybody want to touch on this one here, family? Any other brothers want to touch on it?
I want to say this one time, because you said entrepreneurial training. At the bottom, not only did they get a $1 million grant from Disney, and then give their people low interest rate loans, right? They sent them through an entrepreneurial training program, and then look at the bottom. It says, finally, that's the crucial bottom line edge. We suggest to the congregation that they do business with the company owner we just made the loan to. So they give these people the loan, they send them through an entrepreneurial training program, and then they tell the congregation, look, we just financed this business. Go over there and support these people. That's right. That's powerful. So I just wanted to make that.
Yes, that's very powerful. Very powerful.
It is. And that's how it should be, family, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So the next one, Atlanta, they start talking about Atlanta's Wheat Street Baptist Church. And they said that they began changing the face of Black neighborhoods in the 60s. They said that today it boasts more than 33 million in real estate holdings, making it one of the wealthiest African-American churches in the nation. I thought that was dope. I said, what? Okay, Atlanta. Come through.
Hold up, sis. I missed. Where are we? We're at the bottom.
Church spreads the wealth.
Yes. Okay. So what did you read, sis?
He's talking about the Atlanta's Wheat Street Baptist Church and saying that, you know, they've been looking out and changing the face of the community since the 60s. And when it was written, it said that at this point, at the point it was written, they had a $33 million in real estate holdings, making them one of the wealthiest African-American churches in the country.
Yes.
They have a nonprofit corporation, the Wheat Street Charitable Foundation. They own and manage 2 housing developments, several single-family dwellings, office buildings, foundations of the Wheat Street Plaza North and South, shopping centers located in the MLK Junior District. They were built in '69 on land purchased with church money and bank loans and are currently getting $120,000 facelift, thanks to interest-free loans from the city of Atlanta.
Powerful. And so then Bible on this page, he makes it clear that, wait a minute, not just, you know, African-American churches, you know, in major cities that are doing these things. He's saying even rural churches are building businesses, you know, and so he talks about Genesis 1 Mendel Ministries. He said that they bought a long abandoned school building for $20,000. He said there's a lot of other churches that are providing job opportunities for their members. I'm looking at an example down the bottom. It says a church group from Aurora, Illinois, brought 162 people. It says down here to completely remodel. So they were remodeling this building. So he said they were flooding the community with skilled and unskilled volunteers to reinforce the story building foundation, making it possible. Okay, so that's just a reconstruction project. This was a construction process. Yeah. Project that the church underwent. So anyway, yeah, they were talking about this abandoned school building that the church purchased, and they brought in, you know, another church group to help them renovate this school. You know, so this goes to show you another example of how the church aggregates and pulls together its human resources to accomplish. Let me see. Is there anything else? I don't have anything else on that page, sis.
Let's see. I don't have anything else.
I just looked up that Atlanta church, that Atlanta Wheat Street.
Me too. Yep.
Powerful. They got a huge. Did you see that?
Yes.
Apartment? Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I'm on YouTube now. I went to the YouTube channel.
Okay. Yeah, that's up to date. I'm not sure if we're going to get into, but I'm very impressed with what, of course, Baba put together. But I just want to say that it's almost because he doesn't mention, Dr. Maat, the fact he doesn't mention Christ. He's using the. I'm trying to be careful here, but
well, you don't have to be careful, brother. Say it.
Just saying, but he's using the guys, you know, GUISE of the church for us to, you know,
right,
to profit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's really making me rethink some things. But
he's not trying to get us.
I don't know. I've got some thoughts in my head. But we'll see, because my major issue with the church, and Sister Lily always check me up because I'll get to going. So please check me if I get to rambling. But my only issue with the church is the identity. There's an identity crisis. We don't identify. We don't know how to identify with. We're identifying, giving our energy, even though we're prospering. All these great things are happening. There is a spiritual schizophrenia going on, if you will, and we lose touch with who we are. So that's my issue. But I like the fact that, you know, this is happening. I'm gonna be quiet and move forward.
No.
Hey, you know, you guys hear me?
Go ahead, brother.
You know, I'm being very quiet in regards to the church because I know, like always, it's sensitive because we're dealing with people that's listening to this broadcast that are heavy Christians, and they're waiting and anticipating that there's going to be an attack on their religion. But so far, even going through this chapter, if people really look at it in a more broad perspective, that we're just dealing with just the reality and the history of it. And also, you have to really analyze and think everything you do. Even like, say, if you're a certain age, you always got to think, say, when you put that money in that collection plate every Sunday or Saturday, where is it leading? Where is it going? Is it building anything? Or is it sitting there just taking and not getting anything in return? Mm-hmm. This is the mindset go in this chapter to see how the church, how it structured itself even back then, and we could probably look at today as it has changed for the past long time, you know.
Well, Brother
Right.
Chaos.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, check it out though. Baba Wilson, and he takes, if you listen to his lectures, he takes a strong stance against the church, but he's done his homework. So he's almost like not rebuking us, but causing us to relook at this thing and say, you know what? The church can be an asset, because he got it in black and white. And even if you go to this Wheat Street Baptist Church in Atlanta, and you go to them talking about y'all ain't doing nothing, they're gonna say, look at this building over here with these black folks living in it. So
That's right.
they're doing it again with the guys of the church.
Uh-huh.
Again, my issue is I just think that I know if we can do it with the church like that, what would we do if we were to do it with our own, like our own Africanness, originality, instead of using somebody else's blueprint?
Right, because they're not politicalized. They're not politicalized.
Right, because when it comes down to it, when you start talking like Dr. Jeremiah talking, they're gonna pull rank. They're gonna say, okay, no more tax-free this or that.
That's right.
Yeah, you're right.
That's right. Because he's not going to utilize that money to organize with that kind of revenue coming in. He's not going to utilize that money for black power. I mean, aspects of it. I mean, real estate. I'll give you that. Real estate, building. That's a part of black power. But I'm talking about organizing a black agenda. They're not going to move into that. You know.
Right. And that's what Baba Wilson talks about.
Right.
He said the issue is not about race, the issue is about domination. So the fact that they even allow, anytime they allow black churches to pop up on every corner and we're the dominated, you know there's something there to that.
It's the management.
Exactly. They know eventually all that money goes right back into their revenue stream, which continues white supremacy and racism. So we need to say, okay, let's cut we got to figure something out. I don't know if it's going to be our generation or somebody else's generation. We say, you know what? We can do this apart from the European church, because it all goes back to that. We can make this happen. Somebody's going to raise up again. There's going to be another spirit of Marcus Garvey somewhere along here coming.
That's what I mean. A spirit of Marcus Garvey. You hit it right on the money, Brother Impu. He's not going to come like Garvey. You know, that's it right there. You know, that's a good aspect. I commend the brother about the real estate, though. You know.
No doubt. All right, no doubt. Page 568, y'all. We're at the top. I'm not going to read through all of this. I'm not going to read the entire box. But this is the box that we're looking at, family, on page 568. If you don't have it, just come back here and freeze it, pause it, read it at your leisure. But at the top, it says serving the needy. It says the city signs hundreds of contracts every year with black churches that provide social and human services. Here are random samples. So I looked through, I actually read this box, and I saw that a lot of churches receive money for things like foster care, Head Start, daycare, transportation for senior citizens, senior meals, again, daycare. I think I've already said daycare, home care for seniors. I already said foster care, Head Start. It says youth activities and youth programs. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? All right. And then there's another example inside of this book, or in this box, another example of a church that transformed the circumstances of the members of their congregation. And I mean, while I'm reading this, Brother Impu and Brother Travis, look it up and let me know if this bishop is still there. So it says that a bishop, okay, it says this effort to become, so a bishop, his name is Bishop Luke Edwards. It says, he started a church in 1977. Well, the church, the effort became integrated, dates back to 1977. Okay, when Bishop Luke Edwards gathered his 200-member congregation to discuss salvaging his parishioners' pride in their decaying community. It says this bishop's task was formidable. Back then, 90%, I want to say that again, 96% of the greater Christ Temple Church congregation was on welfare. All right. So in 1977, you have a church called Greater Christ Temple Church in Mississippi, and it was under the leadership of Bishop Luke Edwards. So he gathered 200, it was 200 people now, 200 member congregation. He wanted to discuss salvaging his parishioners' pride in their decaying community. It says 96% of the congregation was on welfare back then. He said, and I showed the congregation that they have the buying power to deliver themselves if they spend their money right. Bishop Edwards combined church members' food stamps and purchased food items from a wholesale grocer. The church then began running a grocery store out of its auditorium. After 4 months, the members had earned enough to purchase a supermarket. I want to read that again. The church, Bishop Edwards combined church members' food stamps. These people were on welfare, okay? 96% of these people were on welfare. So I'm looking at these mega churches, like Sister Alima said, who has doctors and lawyers and all sorts of stuff. But then they don't have anything to show for. Nothing that they're building, nothing tangible that they're building in their community. Here it is, this bishop had 200 members, where 96% of them were on welfare. He pulled together their food stamps, purchased food items from a wholesale grocer. The church then began running a grocery store out of its auditorium. After 4 months, the members had earned enough to purchase a supermarket. Today, the church owns a 4,000-acre farm, 7 tractors, hundreds of cattle, 2 meat processing plants, a bakery, 3 restaurants, and an auto repair shop. It has expanded its ministry to Alabama, and none of its members are on welfare because they have been given jobs by the church. Greater Christ Temple uses its profits from its businesses to invest in other ventures. It owns several dormitories where most church members live. Young people who have problems at home or have been in trouble with the law also live there. The church operates office buildings, a computer room, a nursery, a cafeteria, a clinic, a library, and a machine shop, and a school. In short, it has created its own community. And he did this. I just want to emphasize, I just want to stress this, that he did this with 200 members. 96% of them were on welfare. 96%. And from that, they aggregated their resources, even though it was just food stamps, bought a supermarket, and from that point, used its profits to create and develop a community for itself. That was very powerful.
That is. I just looked it up, sis, and there's something I don't want to mess up Bishop Luke Edwards.
Yeah, I got it.
You see that? I don't want to mess up. I don't want to read that. It's not so positive. If you look at the same thing.
Yeah, I think I might. He got hit up by a sexual assault.
I didn't want to bring it up, brother, but you did. I wanted to, because Mama Wilson put it in here, man. Something happened that wasn't so good, but he.
Well, okay, but he may have gotten. I'm not excusing that because I don't get down with that. Any sexual assault, pedophilia, rape, and all of that. Yeah, absolutely. I don't condone that whatsoever. But we still can't take away the fact that he was able to get his members, almost 200 members, off the ball.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, he was very gifted in that area. Absolutely.
It's in us, family. It's in us. Whatever we put our hands to do.
Yes.
I mean, we as melanated people, we gonna make it happen. I don't care if we work in a cashier job at Walmart. We gonna bring the sauce. We gonna bring the flavor, whatever, and we're gonna be the best worker there. But it's that foolishness, like this bishop got caught up in, that messes it up, man. But if we continue to do like it's recorded here with this brother, I mean, taking persons off welfare, that's what it's all about. Is giving people that economic stability so they can do it on their own. Powerful stuff.
Absolutely.
And think about it, with 200 people, so imagine anyone was get like a gathering over 100 or 50 or close to 200.
Right.
You can get certain things done. I remember one time one guy say he's looking for just only 100 people to purchase a town. It is possible. You know what I'm saying? If we can get like just a certain amount of people and do what the math, you can get a lot of things done. You don't have to get a whole bunch of people, but if you get more than 100, you stay on it, you can get a lot done. And that proves it for that little example. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So then at the top of page 569, he gives another example. Hartford Memorial Baptist Church on Detroit. So this is where you are, Brother Travis. Hartford Memorial Baptist Church on Detroit's northwest side. It says on welfare. It says, in fact, many are doctors, lawyers, accountants, and teachers. Hartford's pastor, the Reverend Charles Adams, was confronted by a challenge different from the one that faced Bishop Edwards. A decade ago, his sprawling church was surrounded by bottle-strewn dirt lots, abandoned buildings, drug houses, and plots of wildly growing grass. So it says that the 7,200 members of Hartford Memorial are largely responsible for that change. The church opened a social service center in 1977, and it provides food, clothing, and medical help and emotional counseling to the underprivileged. It also started a school to train former criminals and drug addicts to be auto mechanics. Next, Mr. Adams raised $1 million from his congregation to buy lots that he described as sitting foul and unused. The church leased them to Kentucky Fried Chicken and McDonald's restaurants, which quickly built large franchises and hired workers from that community. Once those businesses opened, other companies began investing in the area. The neighborhood is now home to, among other businesses, a Pizza Hut, Barley's hamburger restaurant, record shop, and numerous convenience stores. Hartford also owns several small auto repair shops in the neighborhood. The church awakened the financial community to the value of the property, says Mr. Adams. Hartford Memorial works with a coalition of area hospitals and colleges to invest further in the community. With their help, it plans to open a car care mall. So that's another example of church utilizing its resources to transform a community. So the next section, the Black church's potential for transforming the Black nation. All right, Dr. Amos Wilson, he says that this wish for transformation could begin almost immediately if Black congregations of America would in concert transfer their full bank accounts or sizable portions thereof from white financial institutions to Black ones. This would make hundreds of millions of dollars available for better caring for and economically empowering the Black community. The judicious and creative use of funds provided by the institutional Black church, along with other Black institutions, for example, colleges and organizations, corporations, and businesses, as well as personal and family accounts placed in Black-owned, controlled, or influenced financial institutions could provide billions of dollars for the takeover by the Black community of its wholesale and retail markets. These funds could provide the base for the founding of new businesses, financial institutions, takeovers of small and large corporations in the general American corporate system, and provide the base for penetrating the general American economy, and thereby provide greater economic opportunities for members of the community as a whole. More important, that means in regards to their moral missions, the generation and very extensive control of Black generated capital by Black institutions such as the Black church, and its use to improve the economic and social well-being of the community would do much to markedly reduce the economic and social causes of antisocial, immoral, and criminal behavior which overwhelm the community today. Black families could be stabilized, the Black population better educated, housed and fed, quality of life generally improved, the community held in higher regard by other communities, and more importantly, by itself. So, and he goes on to the next paragraph to say that the Black church as a nation could construct a nationwide economic wholesale retail network, which could in turn form a distribution and market network which would then become the foundation of a Black-owned and controlled manufacturing and import-export system. I thought that was very powerful. Extremely powerful. So Baba is saying, yo, get your money out of these white financial institutions, put them in Black-owned and controlled financial institutions. It's now function as a nation, meaning all of the Black churches. And I remember saying this to my aunt. I said, if only all of the Black churches would function as one, like all come together. Because in Baltimore, we have over 400 and some odd churches in Baltimore City. And some of these churches have very, very small congregations. They may have a pastor. Some of them have little as like 10 members, 20 members. But then down the street, you have another church that may have 10 or 20 members. On another block, you have another church that may have 30 or 40 members. Why not just get one building and put all of these people in one place? But that's too much like right. Everybody wants to be the chief, right? Everyone wants to put on the roll. But you got 10 members, dog, in your congregation. And down the street, they got 5 members. Why not combine your congregations? Get one brother Info. I'm not brother Info over there smiling. But brother Info, am I telling the truth?
They're not gonna do that. I know brother Info thinking.
Go ahead, brother Info. Unmute your mic, brother.
They're not gonna do that. Brother Info got it.
Yeah, they're not gonna do that. I mean, there's so much politics going on within the Black church. I had something written down here from a lecture by Dr.maat.msu. He digs into this heavy, but just what you're talking about. And again, it goes back to even slavery. When we first came over here and we were, the white man would anoint a certain Black person to be the spokesperson.
Yes.
Or to keep the Black crowd down. And that, that whole thing carried on even up to us today, where you have a so-called anointed leaders to hush the people down. I mean, literally they do that. And these spiritual leaders are connected with political people in the city, with the mayor, with the city council persons. And if there's an uprising, they know who to come to. They know who to get the so-called influential Black leader to quiet down the group. And even though that Black leader may sound radical in front of his or her congregation, but behind closed doors,
right,
they've already talked to that Black leader, to keep things cool. Y'all feel what I'm saying?
Yes.
But getting back to Dr. Maat, what she was saying, I almost lost my train of thought. But if we were to come together, and say, okay, your church got 2,000 members, and me and my wife had opened up a ministry. We had a good maybe 100 strong at one point, and then it started to dwindle because of the message that when we changed the message, people wanted to go back to the traditional good feeling instead of being educated and business minded. But if we would have, did that thing, ain't no telling. Right now in Erie, Pennsylvania, there's a church 3 blocks down from me that has probably 500, 600 members. And right up the street, another church got about good 800. This is the biggest trending church here in Erie. Now, to your point, what if they were to come together and said, okay, you know what, let's build. And in the area where I live at, we definitely need some revitalization going on instead of cats driving big cars and living way out. I'm just saying. I mean, we could really, and then all around us are businesses that's not owned by us. And that's a sad commentary. When you got all these Black folks dropping money in the building fund and ain't nothing getting built. I'm just saying, we need to do better.
Absolutely.
And we're going to do better. Because, this message is going to get far, and it's going to get far to the youth that see that what has not worked has not worked, and they're going to make it happen. And we're not going to keep going in circles. I guarantee you that.
That's right.
But the wisdom on the very opening of this chapter, the wisdom of the ancestor tells us if we can use this organizational structure nationally and internationally, and we just got to, again, I always say this, we just got to flip the script and be like, okay, you know what? within our organization, let's do this. Let's pull together. But there's always going to be a coon or two that's going to leak information. You feel what I'm saying? It's going to mess up everything for everybody else. So we just got to have a radical revolution. And it will not be televised. So maybe it will, because we're on the internet nowadays. So maybe it will.
That's right.
It is a beautiful day.
That's right. Brother Impo, if you come like Creflo Dollar, you can take that area over.
Man, listen, let me tell y'all. This is real talk. I know Sister Lily gonna check me in a minute, but this is real talk. I had an opportunity to really, and my queen can testify to this, to really change up my delivery in my messages. And it was so tempting, Brother Shemsu, to do that, because I knew I would have drew a lot of people, okay? And the pastor, my spiritual father at the time, who released me into the pastorate, was, that was his thing, healing, laying on the hands and all of that. And I had an opportunity. I had people come to me, Trey, you sound just like, Bishop so, and I'm like, and it went to my head for a minute, and I could have drew crowds. I could have played the game. And I had folks coming to the church, man, want me to do that, laying out and ran around. But I'm like, but at the end of all this, what are you getting? You know what I'm saying? I mean, are you walking away with not only, okay, you got a good feeling after an hour and a half, but are you walking away with some meat, and not just, and then when I see you tomorrow or next week, you paging me talking about I'm going through again. Come on now. I mean, it's a mess, but we got to do better, like I said.
Absolutely. So where are we? Let me see. Do you have anything on 571, Sister Lily? I don't have anything highlighted on 571 and 572, but somebody might.
What did I have here? It's pretty much some iterations from what I see. Okay, Baba started talking about the Congress of the National Black Churches Incorporated, and he was saying that the State of Black America in '94 published the Urban League. There are 65,000 churches connected with the Congress of National Black Churches alone. The Congress is composed of 8 historically Black denominations representing 250,000 church employees and in excess of 19 million worshipers. And so my thing was, if y'all really have this Congress established, what are you really doing? So what are y'all just letting each other know, like when you're having the next, you know what I mean? Like the next event, the next service, the next big event. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what's the point. You've got this Congress and you've got this big fancy name, but what are y'all really doing?
Can I jump in again, y'all?
That's a huge alliance. So like, what are they doing?
Huge alliance. We would go to meetings just to have meetings. And every once in a while, you'll get an anointed person that maybe you were a trustee at a particular church, so the church would sponsor you to go to this conference, and whoever was the national trustee person would talk about, how to work with the tithes and the building fund and the offering and all of that. And then you would have another, if you were a minister, you would go to this particular class and so on. And this is going on. But like you said, then after the conference, I mean, then you would be pledging to go to the conference, the semi-conference and then the annual conference. So you were always giving to go to the next conference. You feel what I'm saying? And you would come back and you would disseminate information to maybe your Sunday school class or to the congregation. But again, I mean, you were burping to each other. You were burping the information back and forth.
So it's really nothing going on. It's just like the youth conferences that we used to attend when we were children. It was nothing going on. You know what I mean? Even like you said, all year round, you donate money to the pastor's conference fund, and the pastor comes back and he doesn't really deliver much. You know what I mean? He doesn't really say anything. Nothing really happened. I mean, he's got a new robe, but that's about it. It's like, okay, so what was the point? I just don't understand. What is this Congress doing? And I need to look up and see, if one of the brothers can look up and see, is it still around, the Congress of National Black Churches? And if so, what the hell are they doing?
Brother Impo, is it still around?
Yes. Now we were a part of the Full Gospel Baptist Church Fellowship, and I'm brother Shimshu, the bishop over that now is in Detroit. I believe he's from Detroit, and And that right there was a political thing going on. They broke off from the Baptist church and, you know, formed this new Full Gospel Fellowship. But it's definitely it's still going on. These conferences are still going on. I mean, Bishop Jakes is so huge. He has his own thing. Y'all know that. I mean, he has conferences within conference. He got leadership conference and, you know, adjutant conference and whatever else kind of conference. And he doing it. He making money. But now, if he would use the blueprint that Dr. Wilson is talking about to advance us as a people, I mean, the brother would be huge.
But you would never hear of him again. They would kill
you. Would never hear of him again. No, because you gotta be multicultural, and that's what right. What they're about. So,
long as you are managed, like you remember when the people were in New Orleans went through that situation. I knew that he was connected to people higher up because George Bush went and grabbed him.
Come on, man.
And he went to New Orleans with George Bush. I say, yeah, so he's connected to, you know, hierarchies, and so they put him out there to manage, you know, to manage. That's
right.
What he's basically doing.
Yep.
Wow.
It's sad. It really is. It's a sad situation.
To see our people, he came with George Bush, and you know he was real late coming to New Orleans, and T.D. Jakes went with him.
Yeah.
To see our people.
Yeah. And you see what happened when Trump was running. The pastors that Trump got. That was a whole mess. These black pastors meeting with Trump about what? Come on, you know, protecting him, and it was I mean, so just imagine those pastors going back to their 500-member congregation and whitewashing them with Trump's foolishness. I mean, it's sick.
Sister Lily, anything else on this page, sis? 571.
No.
All right, what about 572?
I'm sorry, I can't turn to different page. 572. All I have is just a little bit for this page, where this section where it says presumably City National Bank will help the church to finance the school through a loan or other means. This implies that churches can enter into any number of creative and innovative relations with both Black and mainstream financial institutions in ways beneficial to the community as a whole. Churches and church associations with sizable accounts and deposits in mainstream banks can use their leverage in these institutions to influence them to enter into various supportive and enriching relations with Black-owned financial institutions. So the churches can help to fuel Black-owned businesses, in essence, is what it's saying. You know what I mean? Because the churches have so many members and they have so much power. So if their focus was more economic-based and supporting your own, then they could, in essence, also help to sprawl the community and help to feed Black businesses that are starving right about now. But that's all I had.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Endowment and investment programs. Despite their relatively large collections and famous ability to raise money for various causes to which they may commit themselves, Black churches as a whole possess very little in the way of invested wealth. Other than offertory collections, pledges, fundraising drives such as dinners, sales, fashion shows, musicals, the churches have few other significant sources of income with which to sponsor their programs and missions. In a survey of sources of church income, Lincoln found that 2.2% of Black churches had endowment income, and only about 15.6% had financial holdings, such as portfolios, commercial businesses, income-producing property, or service enterprises. And for those who may not be familiar, an endowment refers to money or other property used for the permanent upkeep or benefit of an institution or organization. Institutional endowments are generally used for making and managing investments in varied assets such as stocks, bonds, real estate, ventures, venture capital, leveraged buyouts, mineral, and other natural resources. And that's all I had on 573.
Yes, that's all I had, sis. And then I'm looking at the bottom of, I had highlighted the power of the bond market. This is very powerful. I never even heard of the bond market. But it says that the power of the bond market, it says many wealthy individuals and nonprofit institutions are substantially invested in the bond market. It says see below for definitions of this market. I don't know if he ever provided us with the definitions. Anyway, it says see below for the definitions of this market. It says this group of investors, not including foreign institutions pension funds, insurance companies, and mutual funds, commercial banks, and other institutions such as savings banks, credit unions, brokerage, and investment firms owns 13%, basically 13% of the $10 trillion United States long-term debt held longer than a year. It says the influence of these and other bond-holding investors in the bond market on the U.S. economy is remarkable. As a matter of fact, the New York Times, that was published on June 12, 1994, reports that the bond market is the preeminent force in the economy today. More than any other group, the bond market's members determine how many Americans will have jobs, whether the job holders will earn enough to afford a house or a car, or whether a factory might have to lay off workers. The Time goes on to contend that the American economy is governed by the bond market, a loose confederation. So the bond market is a loose confederation of wealthy Americans, bankers, financiers, money managers, rich foreigners, of life insurance companies, presidents of universities and nonprofit foundations, pensioners, and other people who once kept their money in passbook savings accounts or under the bed and now buy shares in mutual funds. The Times accuses the bond market, i.e. its members, of favoring and helping to bring about the current weak American economy. So I immediately, when I read this paragraph and he describes the bond market, I thought about the chapter panel that where Barbara Amos Wilson talks about the financial corporations. I'm looking for it so that I could give you the chapter number. I think this was in chapter, not race and economics, chapter 13, where he talks about the financial corporate elite. He said this is the new world government. And in that chapter, he tells us that there's a public government and a private government. And so he said the private government is what really controls America. And these are your financial corporations owned by the wealthy. So here he's saying that these people are the same, those people are the owners of the financial corporation. These are the same people who own and control the bond market. All right. I don't have anything else, Sister Alima, on page 574, sis.
No, that's it.
That's all you have?
Uh-huh.
All right, sis, you're going to have to take over from here.
Okay, page 575. Let's see here. Well, it started at the bottom, I guess, of 574. However, if the institution of Black church is to realize it is, and you didn't just read that, did you, sis?
No.
However, if the institution of Black church is to realize its and the Black community's economic potential, if it is to maximize its ability to realize its spiritual mission and to meet the material needs of the community, which so desperately depend on its leadership and stewardship, it must remedy what Lincoln refers to as one of the major weaknesses of historic Black denominations, the lack of the training and teaching of their denominational leaders, pastors, and laity about all aspects of economic stewardship, from careful record keeping, financial accountability, and investments to the economic development of their community. So what they're saying is that the biggest downfall in the Black church is that they don't prepare their people for the world. You know what I mean? They don't prepare them for how it really is. Don't let them know, especially from an African standpoint, and really prepare them and let them know the reality of things instead of having them in this la-la land thinking that all things are fair and everything is great and you just come and just believe in Jesus and just be great and everything's going to work in your favor when that's not realistic. Moving on to the end of this paragraph here. National Black churches. This Congress made up of, hold on, wait. Where did I start? Okay, wait. They may occur at the national and international interdenominational level as well. A vehicle of the latter type may involve an organization such as the Congress of National Black Churches. This Congress, made up primarily of representatives from each of the 7 historic Black denominations, held its first organization in 1978. 2 of its stated objectives include undertaking social and economic institution building in the African American community. We agree with Lincoln when he contends that aside from its central spiritual mission, the final and most crucial challenge facing the Black church is to decide what kind of economic system would best serve the needs of everyone with justice, equity, and fairness in the 21st century. So as he said, the spiritual is good, but the most focus is to figure out how to serve the economic needs of the people. Okay, moving on, family. Community Development Credit Union. In the interest of community development, Church associations or coalitions may combine their unions to found and develop a community development credit union, which can provide credit and financial services directly to individuals, home buyers and improvers, workers in small business establishing metropolitan, workers and small business people. I'm tired, family, forgive me. Churches may also join other organizations and institutions and establishing metropolitan and regional development banks, organizations designed to help finance the economic and social development of African American communities in the area. And it's very important that if we do have Black banks, to support the Black banks so that they can stay afloat, because it's important to have banks that are owned by your own people. So therefore, you know, it helps to enable more loans. It helps to get, and when you can create more loans, that creates more entrepreneurs, which creates more jobs, which betters the community. So it does make a difference, as opposed to you keep going to Wells Fargo and getting denied every 2 years applying for a loan. You know what I mean? And you have the credentials and everything, but there's a certain amount of us that they're going to approve them for, and they've already hit their max. Okay. So let's see. On to 576, family. Rotating credit associations. As defined by Ardner, a rotating credit association is an association formed upon a core of participants who agree to make regular contributions to a fund which is given in whole or in part, to each contributor in rotation. A rotating credit association consists of a group who pool their funds on a regular basis, then pass the pools around the group until all the members have received it. The pooling of monetary resources between churches and other organizations as members of institutional rotating credit associations would allow them to lend each other large sums of money on a regular basis, which can be used to fund their individual economic and social projects and other commitments. And that's all I had on 576. If anybody wants to add anything, if not, we'll move on to 577. All right. Church-sponsored national chain stores. While it may be tempting to invest in highly visible, showy projects which are large, costly, and risky in order to maximize political, social, and psychological influence, the small, manageable shop, multiplied many-fold, may be of more lasting and practical value, particularly in the beginning. Small specialty shops, well-appointed and well-managed, can generate much goodwill and great earnings without the risks involved in exceedingly large undertakings, whose possible collapse or failure would backfire by impairing the business self-confidence and self-esteem of the community at large. And Baba is just talking about investing in smaller businesses instead of investing in higher things. He's talking about different things that churches can invest in. Moving further down, the last paragraph, in the middle of the paragraph. It is especially relevant that, as reported by the Times, the stores are encouraged to participate in community-backed political programs, like a recent one in the United States to register voters. Furthermore, the Times reports, there is no product advertising, nor do the stores have images of perfect women that might make the consumer feel inadequate and drive to seek perfection through cosmetics. And but Baba is talking about the Body Shop. He's talking about their marketing and their marketing strategy and the way that they marketed to everybody and how their businesses became booming. I remember the Body Shop was booming at one point. They had stores everywhere. They had those bodycon dresses and all those different types of things. So that's all I had on 577. Moving on to 578. In the middle of the paragraph, family, on 578, where it starts off the Body Shop, towards the end of this paragraph. Business development can be utilized for moral and social development, not only by reducing crime and other antisocial behavior through increased employment and social opportunities, or through ameliorative, ecological, psychological changes, but also as a means of propagating and demonstrating ethical, moral, and positive social concerns and principles. And this is very true. We all know that when they go to work, they tend to be more productive, as opposed to when they don't have a job, they get into a lot of trouble. So that goes hand in hand socially. When you work, when your economics are low, it does contribute. It does correlate with
social problems.
With social problems, indeed. Okay. The effectiveness of cause-oriented campaigns in the middle of this paragraph. A church-based or private business may overtly communicate to its customers that portions of its profits are used to support certain charitable and political organizations, for combating homelessness, crime, hunger, child abuse, for supporting educational institutions and programs, for dealing with teen pregnancy, for providing youth with practical training in entrepreneurship or jobs, and the like. Black consumers may be given pamphlets in their shopping bags, informing them in colorful and illustrated terms of how their purchases or products, manufactured, distributed, wholesale, and retail by Black-owned companies, help to create jobs and increase employment of Black adolescents and adults. The customer may thereby be prompted to see his or her purchase of items for personal consumption as, in part, a charitable and pro-social activity. These approaches are known as cause-related marketing or point-of-purchase politics. As intimated above, the institutional or individual Black church corporation may finance and further its social and religious mission by these means. Cause-related marketing can provide a powerful means by which Black-owned business establishments may capture the attention and loyal support of Black and other ethnic consumers from their non-Black competitors. Cause-oriented marketing, if tied to competitive prices and good service, carries the very positive possibility of making the consumer feel good about making certain purchases, and more importantly, good about themselves and the retailer. And I like this idea, because basically what it says is while you're shopping, they're basically letting you know why you're shopping there, because you go to Walmart or something like that, and you're just shopping at Walmart because it's close to your house and this is where you could get some soap real quick. But if you're actually in a Black-owned business and you get it and you give it a little pamphlet and they're telling you that, hey, everything in here is Black-owned, and you know what I mean? This product is made by this company and they employ this amount of people, you know what I mean? And this company has this amount of land and this is what they do. It makes you feel better about your culture, and you can really know and understand that, hey, I am me contributing or purchasing things from this store. I'm contributing by thousands of Black families and helping them to survive. You know what I mean? It just makes you feel a whole lot better as opposed to just going to like a dollar store.
And absolutely, sis. I just want to kind of piggyback off of what you said. I remember you and I were talking offline a while ago, and you were telling me you were down in Atlanta, like you were just shopping or going somewhere, and you said there was like a sister selling some products, and you were like, you said you didn't need it, but you just supported the sister, and you were like, I felt good because you said you never know, I may have helped her pay a bill, or I may have helped put food on the table for that sister for that particular day. And you were saying that you felt good about your purchase.
That's so right.
So I think cause-oriented marketing, like you said, it makes people feel good about purchasing. I'm buying this product, and the profits is not just going to be used to better the lifestyle of the owner, right? Not saying that you don't want to better the lifestyle of the owner, but it's not just being used for something frivolous. It's being used for an actual cause.
That's right.
I totally get what you were
because I get it. You know what I mean? It's hard to be a Black business owner out here. Like it really is. Like to have a day where you might not see not one customer for like 2-3 days in a row. You know what I'm saying? And that's just not a good indication for good business. And then when you see all the stores, the Dollar Generals and all the stores right there around your business, and they're getting heavily patronized, and you can't get not one person and you can just peek their head in the door and even just see what you have.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It's incredible to me.
Absolutely.
I love the idea, and I'm totally on board, obviously. But we did something with our students. We did the Shark Tank presentations with our students with autism and Asperger's, and these kids, let me tell you, developing like problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills, etc. And they had to present to other teachers that came in as sharks, the whole theme. Y'all feel what I'm saying? And this was one of the components they had to come up with. Why would I want to come to your business and spend my well-earned money versus going across the street and spending it? So they had to sell us. And then just like the television show, we would, invest or fight over whose business wanted to invest. But that's powerful. And like I said a few weeks ago, when you go to a store where you got brothers and sisters working a part-time spot and they're working in there like they don't give a crap, not even looking you in the eye when doing business, or outside the store, it's a hot mess. And so you have to correct them. But, even on the spot, those of us that care about our community, but there's definitely training that needs done. And I think the managers just hire folk because they just trying to get people in place. But there's definitely a training that needs done for our people, you know, to have this type of spirit when you want to have your own business, because that's lacking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sister Lima?
I'm here, sis.
Page 579, sis. Oh, you getting tired. Somebody else. I can hear it in her voice, so we're going to wrap this up. I see you got
it's like 2 hours over. Like, we still have like
7 pages.
6 pages.
Yeah, is it like 7, 5 or 6, 5 to 7? Let me look. Yeah, like 7, like 8 to 8, 7.5. So let's roll. Come on, y'all. So we can't really stop and keep interjecting. Let's get through. So where are we, sis? You stopped at
579. That's all I had on 579 was that paragraph that I read. On page 580.
Did you want to read the bullets or not, the results of the survey?
No, I didn't really think they were that pertinent. I was just basically saying like half the people felt that they would stick to the trend and the other half felt that it was good.
Okay, cool. So let's go.
Okay, page 580, middle of the page. The establishment of church-funded or supported businesses, unlike many privately owned businesses, may be consciously instituted primarily to maximize service instead of profits, to provide economic opportunity, employment, and in particular to provide training arenas to prepare African-American youth with practical business and social skills and experience to aid in their character development, their diversion from antisocial envelopments, etc., which would not otherwise exist. Church businesses as community-owned businesses. While some may feel a bit uneasy about our suggestions regarding the direct involvement of the institutional church with economic development, the managing and founding of business establishments, it should be kept in mind that in communities where business ownership and involvement is relatively high, where employment is relatively high and stable, e.g. the Korean market, the rates of violent crime and other visible and threatening antisocial behavior are relatively low. Thus, the institutional Black church, through its economic development activities, can accelerate and enhance its good works in the everyday life of the nation. It must also be kept in mind that the theology, doctrine, and practices of the church cannot in any real way be separated from the economic character of the community in which it wields significant influence. The economics of nations of Islam. So Baba starts talking about the Nation of Islam. He gives us examples. We're all very, very familiar with the Nation of Islam, so I'm really not going to read most of this. We're familiar with Elijah Muhammad. He talks about Baba Muhammad and things that they were able to establish. So that he ruled over 76 temples nationwide and 50 to 100,000 people. The nation's owned 15,000 acres of land, a newspaper with a circulation of 500,000, some aircraft, a fish import business, restaurants, bakeries, as well as supermarkets. 582, the nation functioned as a nation. Elijah Muhammad was the head of the state. They had hierarchy administration, binding religion and theology, a set of distinct family education, economic, commercial, religious, marital, martial, informational, and social institutions as well. On to the bottom of the page, many in observing what they perceived as forced charity, which I heard this a lot regarding the nation. They talk about the dues that they had to pay. What they perceived as a forced charity or dues imposed on the members of the nation and have complained that this is the foundation of its economic prowess and image, overlook a number of factors. These dues supported a number of independent institutions, such as the schools, which permitted the nation to educate its youth as it saw fit. Little do these observers, i.e., regular taxpayers, see the taxes that they pay as forced charity, often used to support failing schools and other dysfunctional anti-Black, anti-life institutions and practices. So what Baba is saying is that people are criticizing the fact that they have dues that they have to pay, but in actuality, the dues are the reason why they're able to have all these businesses as well as teach their own.
Absolutely. I love, sis, at the top of, I'm looking at page, were you done with that, sis? I'm sorry, because I was reading along with you and then my eyes went to taste, and power. So in this section right here, taste, money, and power, I look at a lot of Dr. Amos Wilson's lectures online, and he constantly talks about our tastes. And he was saying that, you know, when someone has, that basically Europeans, like through media, through imagery, through music, that they have conditioned and molded our tastes. You get what I'm saying? so that we lust after their products. You get what I'm saying? And so he was saying when someone can control your taste, then they can control your dollar. All right. So taste, money, and power. At the top, he says that taste and the accumulation and distribution of money, wealth, and power are closely related. For example, the taste of Europeans for sugar transformed the economic destinies of both Europeans and Africans, helping to transform the former peoples into wealthy imperialists, landholders, industrialists, and slaveholders, the latter into poverty-stricken colonials, laborers, slaves, and producers of cheap raw materials. As owners of the means of production and as the chief manipulators and producers of African tastes, appetites, and needs, which can only be satisfied by the consumption of European white producers, white imperialists have induced Blacks to seek to satisfy their creative and natural tastes in ways which only enrich whites themselves. Hence the social role of Blacks almost exclusively as consumers. So they've molded and shaped our taste to their benefit. It says, under the dominant influence of white owners of the means of production of Blacks are discouraged from seeking to create and produce for their own tastes and desires, that is, are not encouraged to the means of producing to satisfy their self-created desires or those created in them by others. Thus, their very patterns of consumption lead to the enriching of their exploiters and oppressors to their financing their own oppression. Do you hear that, family? He's saying that, okay, I want to read that again. Under the dominant influence of white owners of the means of production, Blacks are discouraged from seeking to create and produce for their own tastes and desires, that is, are encouraged to own the means of producing to satisfy their self-created desires or those created in them by others. Thus, their very patterns of consumption lead to the enriching of their exploiters and oppressors into their financing their own oppression through their consumption. Sis?
I said, that's right.
Yeah, that was powerful, sis.
That's right.
That was powerful. And it says, through their consumption, they forge the chains which bind them in powerless dependency on dominant whites, whose power they help to enhance through their non-discriminating, except against their own enterprises, political and consumer behavior to begin with. Thus, the vicious cycle is established and maintained. That was a powerful paragraph.
That's right.
So he goes on to say that the genius of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad lay in his ability to change or direct the desires and tastes of the members of his nation to, in many instances, create taste and desires in them as well. By demonizing many of the pernicious yet overwhelmingly popular products of white society and many of its lifestyles, values, and edibles such as wine, liquor, cigarettes, drugs, junk foods, excessive eating, expensive and promiscuous clothing, and other consumer items and social activities. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad weaned his followers from unhealthy and economically self-defeating consumer addictions. He changed their appetites and their taste for items, the purchase of which not only enriched whites and other exploitative ethnic groups, but impoverished and often harmed the health of his followers themselves. He was able to induce his followers to save more of their earnings by neutralizing many of the tastes and desires produced in them by and for white-owned manufacturing, wholesale, retail, and advertisement establishments. So he's saying that the genius of Elijah Muhammad, well, one of his many abilities, laid in his ability to change and direct the desires and tastes of the members of his organization. So then I know on page 585, sis, he talks about like the money that they save in junk food and wine and beer and stuff like that.
Right.
So at the bottom, Dr. Amos Wilson says that the Nation of Islam provides an exemplary vantage point from which the African-American community can critically analyze its national or community-wide economic, social, and political options. More importantly, the nation provides intellectual and conceptual tools, a vocabulary which may be very helpful in creating workable solutions to the problems that confront the de facto Black nation in the United States. This vocabulary will permit the Black community to move away from unhelpful, outmoded, and even harmful individualistic, familialistic, particularistic modes of analysis of and approaches to its problems.
I think you're talking about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's Nation of Islam.
Absolutely. That's what he's talking about.
Okay.
So then at the top of page 585, he's just talking about, again, the African American community perceiving itself as a nation, not merely as an aggregate of individuals who happen to be Black. So he's saying there's power in us even just conceptualizing or just our perception of ourselves, perceiving ourselves as a nation functioning. And then, you know, and I remember in the previous chapter, he was saying that once we perceive of ourselves as a nation and organize ourselves as such, that is when we will be able to amass social power. So I don't have anything else, sis, for the end of this particular section.
That's it for me.
That's it for you. So trade relations of other ethnic nations to the African American nations. Sis?
I had the first paragraph highlighted. You want to read it?
I'll go ahead and read it. To look at other ethnic groups in America as nation within a nation is instructive. Virtually every ethnic economic enclave, whether white, Asian, or Hispanic, maintains a nation state, i.e. a foreign trade relationship with the African American community. None of these groups have permitted Black businesses and services to penetrate their markets to any significant degree. He is 100% correct. That's a fact. You can't go into the Asian community and start a business.
The sisters can't even break into the damn hair market, even though we are the ones who spend the most damn money into it. Sisters are selling bundles and things like that on their own, but at the end of the day, their distributor is still somebody Asian.
Absolutely. Absolutely, sis. And I said that we can't go into their neighborhoods to start a business. You can try, but nobody's going to patronize you.
They're not going to buy from you, so you're going to end up closing your doors in 30 days because they're not going to shop from you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it says none of these groups have permitted Black businesses and services to penetrate their markets to any significant degree, with the exception of some Hispanic subcultural groups. None are even residentially integrated with the Black community. So not only will they don't allow you to come into their community to set up businesses, they don't even want to live around you.
Right.
But these are the same people that you spend your money with.
That's right. You keep their lights on, you pay their water bill, you send their children to college, and they don't even
come on, sis. And they don't even want to be around you.
Exactly.
At the end of the day.
What you say, I thought Brother Chaos was trying to say something, Gwen.
Oh, go ahead, brother.
Oh, okay, maybe not.
Hello? Oh, sorry. Yeah, and that's the point. You see, people don't understand this. They'll set business in your neighborhoods, but won't have their decency to live where you live. So they should tell you what their real intention is, to take your money, and once they get enough money, they go back to their homeland, and all of a sudden they build themselves very wealthy. That's what the Asian community doing very well right now, because they got a parasite, just like Europeans, off other people. Hell, even China, as you speak, they're making fake products, food, art, and they sell to people across the world wholesale, just for $1. So if they could sell you garbage that could kill you, what do you think they'll do when they have access and control of this hair market that they've been controlled for such a long time? It's the same thing to you. So the food kills it, same thing. We and I'm not gonna say much about hair because I know a lot of women are sensitive about hair. It's major, when you buy these type of things, synthetic or real from another race, it's doing something to you. I don't know what it is, but it's doing something because now you're dependent. I'm not sure what's the average market value people of color that spend on hair. I think it's now 12 billion now.
What's
13 billion. I think it went up now. Right, ladies?
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. I know when I watched Chris Rock, Good Hair, what was that, 2008, 2009? I think it was like 8 billion. So I imagine by now, yeah.
Yeah, it went up $1 billion every year or two, depending on, the price of inflation, all that stuff. So right now, the ages are comfortable right now, and they don't see their money being hurt anytime soon because the taste has not been controlled. You have to control your desire. There's no in between it. If you let your desire rule you, you're gonna always be hurt down the line. Just like anything we do, when we try and stop and do something different, it's hard because we have not get out of our addiction, our desire. That's what keep us enslaved. The ones that could control their desires and addiction are going to probably flourish further than anybody else. So I'm gonna let y'all continue.
All right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it says, with the exception of some Hispanic subcultural groups, none are even residentially integrated with the Black community. Generally, they are socially and psychologically distant from the Black community and perceive it in its individual members in ways similar to the negative stereotypic and racist ways manifested by racist whites. Yet these same hostile ethnic groups have deeply penetrated African American consumer markets and exploit them with a single-minded competitive passion. Anything else, sis, on this page?
No, ma'am. That's what I had, that paragraph.
All right, next page. What do you have highlighted on this page?
I had the second paragraph. Thus, a self-perpetuating cycle is created, working to the economic disadvantages of the African American business community, devastating to its general wealth and well-being, while simultaneously enriching its alien exploiters. He's talking about alien business steel family. The penetration of the economy and markets of the Black community by alien business leads not only to exploitation of the community by taking 95% of its income back to their own communities, but by hiring relatively few Blacks to work in their establishments. And we all know that's true, that you're not going to go into a Asian business and find it's rare to see like a Black person working in there, you know what I mean? Or a white person or anyone other than themselves, than their own race, working in their own business is extremely rare. And maybe from pressure of the community, they might hire one, and then you have like the one token Black girl or like the one token white boy at the Chinese spot. But that's why, for affirmative action purposes. Moving now to the next paragraph. Often overlooked is the important fact that their immigrant economic strength, in great part, derives from their consumer movement, the conscious refusal to buy from others more than from themselves or what they can sell to others. So unless they're only going to buy from others if they have to. They don't have to buy from others, they're not going to. So they say that's one of the biggest things that keeps these alien businesses strong. Also, is their willingness to only patronize their own for the most part, unless it's absolutely necessary. Next paragraph towards the end. As one commentator put it, I thought this was so deep. The Black consumer has run the longest, most successful boycott in history. The boycott against their own Black businesses. So we always want to boycott some shit, right? But I said, I'm gonna put that shit on Facebook because that is deep right there, because we always talk about, let's boycott Netflix and this and that, but we ran, and that's facts, the longest boycott ever, and that's against ourselves.
Hold up, sis.
That shit is deep.
Hold up, sis. I gotta highlight that.
You know I had to highlight and underline it, Queen, because
yeah, I'm about to underline it. Where are we? Where are we? This is 587.
586, the very last line.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And this is the last page right here, family. So somebody can pick it up and read the last two paragraphs, because I have both of those highlighted, and that's it.
All right, I rock and roll.
Read it. Well, go ahead.
I rock and roll. Brother Travis, did you want to read it, brother?
Last two paragraphs, 88, 89.
587.
Okay.
Hear me? Hello?
Brother
Yeah,
All right.
Go ahead.
The last paragraph?
Yes, read the last paragraph.
Okay. However, as can be inferred from our discussion, the achievement of these desirable goals require Black consumer awareness and selectivity, which has only been sporadically demonstrated to exist up to the present time. We believe it is possible that such Black consumer behavior can be realized provided an appropriate knowledge base and rationale for the behavior be supplied and amplified repeatedly and effectively by the African American intellectual business. Repeatedly, yeah, there we go. Business, religious, and general leadership establishment. We will now attempt to provide a medicum of a rationale and motivational stimulus package for activating Black consumer behavior in the interests of the Black economic development and betterment in America.
That's the next paragraph.
Excellent.
Next.
Excellent. So next week we'll be discussing chapter 24, but since I just perused it, and this chapter is 70 pages.
The next one?
Yeah, the next one, chapter 24. Chapter 24, the Black consumer and economic Afrocentrism is it's like almost 70 pages. It goes from 558 all the way to 656.
Well, I'd rather just add an extra 30 minutes on to the live because I really don't want to take 2 weeks to do it.
Okay.
All right, let's do it then. Let's do it. I've said we'll go ahead and knock out these pages, but golly, sis, when we finish, we'll be 200 pages shy from finishing the book.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Okay, let's go hard. But they say go hard or go home, right?
Go hard or go home.
Dr. Maat, did you listen to that debate?
No, with Tariq. No, I'm a matter of fact, I'm gonna listen to it tonight. I know people were clowning them online, but I didn't get a chance to listen to it. I know it's like 46 minutes, but me, I like to watch when I get into something, like I watch it over and over and over again because I analyze it, I break it down, I fact check. So it takes me a while to get through some videos, but I'm definitely going to check it out, bro. Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. But before we close up, Brother Travis, I know that you said that there were some things that you heard.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about that.
It was something you wanted to say about the Nation of Islam.
It's just a reoccurring situation where it's an issue with color for some reason. He said in a statement that Jesus really wasn't black. He was light like Nuri Muhammad, and then he made a reference again to Jesus. He wasn't black, but he looked like me, and he just has some I find that he continues to that's just one of many, and then I had an issue about him not he never addresses
Brother Travis, these are statements that he made during his Savior's Day address.
Yes. The statements during the Savior Day, those statements, and I'm like, wow, Revelation 15 doesn't verse 14 doesn't it doesn't describe him as looking like Nuri Muhammad, and being a high yellow brother. Nuri, if you don't know Nuri Muhammad, he's very, very light. And
yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah, if you don't know who he is, it's just statements like that. I've listened to this for many years, and then another thing that I noticed that when you collect money, when Nuri comes up there to collect money, and I go all the way back to the 80s with the Nation of Islam, they never have a dark person raise money, get up there and talk. It's always somebody light that's up there, and then the women who they put up there to go out in the because I've gone to the Savior's Day, I never said anything. All of the Savior Days that's happened in Detroit, and I've always noticed it's always a light-skinned brother who's raising the money, get up there at the mic and raise the money, and all of the women who go out in the crowd with the buckets and collect the money. I've been to like 4 Savior Days here. They're always light-skinned women.
Look at the leaders. Look at the Nation of Islam's leaders too. They all been
right. The leader here in Detroit, and before that it was Rasul who was light. Right. All of the major leaders. That's right, sister. You hit it on the money. I didn't say that, but you're right. They're all at the highest level are very light-skinned men. Yeah, that's right.
I thought I was the only person that know that. I thought I would just be in.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I noticed that when I used to be in North Carolina, when I was part of the Nation of Islam in North Carolina, I was at the Savior's Day, and all of the women who were up there, coming in the crowds, there was never a dark sister. I noticed that, and it was always the person who come to the mic to, anybody have $1,000? Anybody have $500? It's always a light-skinned man.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Can I ask intertwine? I wonder, since when Kali left the Nation of Islam in the 90s, before his that they changed the amount of representation of the Nation of Islam now, because he was one of their major spokesperson until Ferg had to kick him out at some point in their like 93, 94.
They beef happened early on. It wasn't about like people think about it was King College. The beef was early on with Dr. Khalid, like Malcolm in the Nation of Islam. He found out that Farrakhan really wasn't. He articulated the struggle, but Khalid was more action oriented and confrontational. If anybody remembers Dr. Khalid, he wanted to intensify the struggle against white oppression, and he wanted to begin to move on white people. Not saying that he go out there and kill white people, but be more vocal and more in their face about issues that was happening in the black community. Khalid became frustrated with the Nation of Islam because he found out, like many others, like Malcolm and other various leaders who left, even the father, Clarence 13X, have frustration, if it be truth be told, have frustration with the Nation of Islam because they articulate, Minister Farrakhan articulates, a lot of the ideologies. But if you really get down to, we can even talk about Chicago. What real impact is he really putting together, even after all of the Million Man March? What kind of real program for liberation that he's really putting together? We can criticize Dr. King, but they had a program. Whether even boycotting something, they successfully boycotted. You know what I mean? No real strategy for the people to implement. I don't see that there with him, and that's what Khalid was frustrated about. I know people who booked Khalid's lectures. Brother Mark in North Carolina, when I was in the Nation, he was the one who booked. People contacted Brother Mark to schedule the speaking engagements for Dr. Khalid. So early on, I knew about Khalid's frustration and confrontation before he even left the Nation of Islam with Minister Farrakhan.
I see. And I didn't want to mention much about Khalid because his transition day was, I think it was Wednesday, a few days ago, including the birth of Huey P. Newton. And it kind of goes back to say, with this paper bag test, it's kind of getting ridiculous at this point. I just be on the race right now. I mean, it's ridiculous that with a nation, you think so that if they're talking about black this, black that, you feel that you respect all type of shades of black. But from what I'm hearing,
I'm just wondering what made him interject color like into his talk.
Farrakhan has always been that way. I can get lectures of Farrakhan early on, making comments. I kept one for everybody, especially the ham curse, talking about the thick nose and the nappy hair. I'll get that over to you about him saying that is a curse. Thick lips, dark skin, and nappy hair was a curse, was a sign of our curse of disobedience. I got that lecture. I have downloaded and preserved that lecture that he goes in on thick lips, dark hair, and
don't forget the eyebrows too.
Yeah, the eyebrows. Right. Our hair is supposed to be like our eyebrows. Right. There you go.
I remember that. I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't have it.
I downloaded that. I have it. I still have that because I said I got to keep that as a reference. So yeah, I downloaded that.
It's funny, brother, that when that was leaked out, he finds anything possible to remove that to make it seem like he don't mean that. But I said, if you're a real man, if you're gonna practice what you preach, just keep it so that people make the decision themselves. Don't sit there hide that like you didn't say that in your lecture. But the average person that doesn't have that so-called straight hair or the hair supposed to match the same thing with their eyebrows, which don't make no goddamn sense. I just don't see you hiding that. If you go keep it real, be upfront with it, so that the people say, okay, well, I guess this is what you view the average person that look like a mother that might be jet black with their real hair and also to be cursed. So
now the thing is, that I know where he got that from, and I'm finna be the bad guy here. But if you look at all of the women that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad took as secretaries, them young girls that he had children by, they were all light-skinned girls. They were all light-skinned girls. Now, one of those girls were dark. the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had that. I'm willing to bet that he had issues with color. Because all of those girls that he had, it was 5 young girls that were 14 years old and a little older that he had kids by. They were all light-skinned girls.
Did you say 14, brother?
Yeah, 14 years old.
Yeah.
Some of those girls was 14 years
That's
old.
a Muslim thing.
Yep.
That's a Muslim thing, man. You gotta take on a very young wife. Even got 6 said, if the child's 9, I could take as a wife. I mean, this is where that religion goes as far as in regards.
Yeah, because I think it was Khadijah, one of the prophet's wives, was very young. I don't know if he was coming from that reference, but that's what Malcolm. Well, early on, we know Malcolm. Honorable Elijah Muhammad took one of them girls for a wife. That caused an early resentment with Malcolm.
Didn't they say Khadijah was 9 or 10 years old?
Could have been that young.
It's like a controversy is saying that she was either that she was anywhere between 9 to 14.
That's correct. And
my God,
the early resentment with the messenger was, of course, Malcolm was in love with another woman before Betty, and the messenger took her as a wife. That caused the early resentment.
I heard it. That's what caused the dissension.
I believe it was Tynetta. In a lot of circles that people told me that it was Tynetta. I don't know, but in a lot of circles I've heard brothers say that it was Tynetta.
Wow. And how old was Tynetta?
Tynetta, I got a lecture of her when she was very young. Her and Malcolm was around the same age. But yeah. And so, but I do have a lecture of her attacking Malcolm, calling him a hypocrite because he left the nation, and she went in on Malcolm. She turned on Malcolm.
Well, it's natural because that's their leader.
That's right, the messenger. Yeah, you're right about that, brother. Yeah, I got that lecture too. Yeah, she was young. She was younger than
my spiritual father. That's my Christ-like. You're not gonna talk bad about this man. I will defend him to the death.
Right. She's probably about 17 in this video, 17, 18 years old in this video I got. Yeah.
But it pushes back that pedophilic type of nature, and most men feel that because you're a certain status that you're not considered pedophiles at their certain age. I said, well, that still is because you're taking on someone that is not even at the mental capacity yet. And you take it away. I'm saying you wouldn't do that to no average woman if they were a little bit older. But that's why they get them real young because they're easier. So and this is sick.
I would be mad if I lost to Tynetta too. Tynetta was a deep woman. That lady was a very deep woman. She was very light, complected, but she never used that, or she was never on that type of kick. You know what I mean, Tynetta. But I've read a lot of her articles in the Final Call. As a black woman, Tynetta was very deep, very committed, very spiritual woman. I would have been mad about the loss too if I was Malcolm.
Wow. So yeah, I gotta go check it out. So they like what did they aired it on NOI.org, his address.
Yep. You'll get to that part when he started talking about Jesus. I'm just trying to find out what is he referencing about Jesus as being, the skin of is Nuri. What is he reading? Is that in the Talmud or is that in the Quran? I'm just wondering what he's reading.
Where he got it from.
Yeah.
He's reading the Wapian scriptures.
Yeah. I'm trying to find out where he got that because Revelations 15 doesn't say that. It's like brass. Hair like lamb's wool. Yeah.
Wow.
It's been a reoccurring issue about color with him. It's been but it's interesting that sister picked that up, Sister Lily, because I noticed that for many years. What you just said, many years.
Yeah, I noticed.
Wow. So you're saying none of the spokespersons, none of the female spokespersons of the nation, you're saying they're never chocolate women.
I mean, right. A few hitting here and there. Overall, it just seems
right. Watch when they raise money. I just want you to, when they say when they have a meeting next time or next year or anytime, when they have like a Savior's Day, watch when they because I've been to a lot of Savior's Days. Watch the women. You know how you go out in the crowd with the bucket and you pick up the money when he say, "Do anybody going to donate $5,000?" They some people donated. He got about $1 million in the this year. The raising. It was a lot of people brought in kicked in a lot of money this year. But You'll see that when they raise the money. But all of the people who like have the buckets to go out in the crowd, I've always noticed that for many years, it's never a dark sister. They always get high complected women to go out there in the crowds to get the money. Now, it's a strategy, and my grandfather said it, and he was right, that many people in this, it was deep like that in the South. They value that. They value light-skinned women more so in the South. When he come from Tupelo, Mississippi, they thought that they had gold when they got a light-skinned woman or a white woman. Yeah. That was a big issue in the South, he said. That was the men in the South were like that. Mm-hmm. They had what's called blue vein churches, he said. Like somebody said about the paper bag. That was real. That was real about the, if you're dark in that paper bag, you can't come. He said they used to call them blue vein churches in the South. W.E.B. Du Bois was heavily, like Mr. Garvey, if you get his writings, everybody that when he went to the that chapter in NAACP, everybody in there was light. A lot of people, the light brigade. Du Bois, when he talks about black, he ain't talking about people that look like Marcus Garvey. He talking about the mulatto. When you get into his writings, especially the Negro problem, he articulates that talking about the mulatto leading. Yeah, yeah. He's not talking about he's talking about the light brigade. Oh yeah.
Yo, brother, I was reasoning with a sister on that about W. Boyd and how he left America to go live in Ghana. And I think it said when he wrote about those books in regards that, between him and Booker T. Washington, and throughout their battles, right? It seemed like he wanted to be like that leader because he has this so-called education and he has the complexion, say, I'm gonna lead people. And like you said, when you talk people, are you talking about all black people or are you talking about a certain complexion of black people?
Exactly.
Because you're right. Because you're writing, and I never read most of it, right, but I will have to conclude the way when you're writing back then, you're not talking about the average black person that don't look came from a biracial stock or a misogynation. You really only excluding yourself, anybody that's looked like the talent 10.
That's right.
And that is in that upper class. So we have to be very careful on some of these lyrics we read from these cats. Because we got to understand the time and their thinking. Say, by your behavior, you're not talking about all black people because you're fighting one of your own. When he's trying to get us out of a situation, you went even hard.
He called Marcus Garvey a gorilla.
Yeah.
He called Marcus Garvey a gorilla.
You're saying W.E. Boyd, you said W.E. Du Bois called Marcus
Garvey a gorilla. So he was mocking, he was angry because my grandfather, who was a Garveyite, and he tell me about a lot of these issues. Black people didn't understand, the working class blacks didn't understand Du Bois. Like you say, he was a Harvard polished graduate. He couldn't reach them. The majesty of Garvey was at such a level that the working class people identified with Marcus Garvey, and that caused resentment. Him and A. Philip Randolph went to the FBI on Marcus Garvey. They were the ones who helped to get Marcus Garvey out of the United States. Most people don't talk about that, but like he said, is that they didn't.
I would be surprised.
Yeah, they didn't understand Du Bois. He was a little bit too dry and intellectual for the working class man. Not saying that you shouldn't be intellectual. Not saying that you shouldn't get degrees. You should, because the people who oppose us, have degrees. So we're supposed to get those. But he couldn't come down with him like a Dr. Khalid, who was heavily educated, but could bring it to the people the way that they can understand it. Dr. Leonard Jeffries and people like that. He was a little dry, and people didn't take him well. So he resented the fact that, Garvey didn't have to work for the love of the people. The people just loved Garvey, It was the same thing with Booker T. Washington. Booker T. Washington was more a grassroots. He was a former slave. So most of our people were still in the South. So
exactly.
they embraced Booker T. Washington because he came with something that they understood was farming. The people at that time, they understood farming and industrialized education. Our people were already building houses in slavery. So he came with a skill set that the people could quickly embrace And so they understood Booker. Now Booker T. Washington did have his haters, you know, don't get me wrong, but they understood his work. They understood his program more so than Du Bois, you know, who we implement his programs in high schools and colleges today. W.E.B. Du Bois' program is what we implement today. You know,
That's what's up.
you know, his you know, learning Greek, learning Latin, learning history, getting a nice job, working in white America. That was Du Bois's program.
And
His
since
program
this
was
is why I said
right.
that we can finish
Mhm.
70 pages because it's already 10 o'clock.
Oh God, no.
Yep.
To give Brother Travis an opportunity, because when we remember when at the beginning we started talking about the Nation of Islam, he jumped ahead and he was like, it was some statements that Minister Farrakhan made during Savior's Day that I want to address. So I wanted to give him some time to kind of get it in. But you're right, sis. We can definitely knock out those 70 pages next week.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Definitely can.
And one thing, Travis, you gotta understand this with W.D. Boy. And one thing what they take credit what Booker T. Washington brought is he brought a solution, an tangible solution that our people could do to build actual power.
That's right. That's right.
W.D. Boy, I always ask the real person that read or really studied his work, what did he contribute in regards to building actual power besides assimilation during the time he was read in this?
He was more of a Cornel West, like Cornel West is. He Du Bois was Booker T. Washington, where they said that, you know, the real criticism of Booker T. Washington, the social programs of the lynchings that was happening, the killing of black people on a mass level by white extremists at that particular time, Booker T. Washington was too silent. Where Du Bois was more a social critic in that aspect. You know, he addressed a lot of the injustices that white people were perpetrating on black people. So the white intellectuals, the black intellectuals, catered to him because they were trying to get into white America, like a Jesse Jackson and your black professionals. They won't identify with Farrakhan or black nationalism. They would deal more so with somebody who was about social injustice and white discrimination so you can get jobs. So he was identified by more, who identified with him more so was your black intellectuals, not the poor blacks. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see that's where the line is cut off. If you can't intellectualize both the poor and the so-called educated blacks, you're not gonna get far.
You're not
because
gonna
really I think most of us still position because a lot of us are still in that what they call poor situation. So overall, when they said which guy would work more effective now than ever, I will still go with Washington at this point.
Me too.
And I'm not disrespecting W. Du Bois, but after going through who he is and you know what he brought and what consequence he has done, that's what made him rush left America to go down. Because really, once he really understand the real reality of these people, I mean, he already played a role into the, I guess, destruction of the black civilization.
That's right.
In other words, that's why he died in God.
And most people don't know that he. Most people don't know he had. They didn't give it to him because they said that he didn't stay in London long enough, or the UK, that he had a PhD in economics with W. Du Bois. That they don't talk about. That he had a degree in Harvard, but he also had like a PhD. He fulfilled the requirements for a PhD in economics.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Maat. You know, it's after 10. I'm not sure if anybody else have anything to say. I think
everyone got out of there. Sister Alima dropped off. Brother Impu gave us the deuces. Who else dropped off? I think that was about it. So we the three musketeers, the last three standing, and then some folks were on and they dropped off. But I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Please join us next week from 7 p.m. to 9. Well, we're going to go strong next week, family, because we have 70 pages
we got this
to cover. You know, so I don't know. Maybe we might consider starting a little earlier. Instead of starting at 7, maybe we start at 6 or 6:30.
That'd be cool.
Well,
I think that would be hot.
It's 70 pages. Let's do the math. 35 each. So you know, we could probably knock it off 2 hours, possibly. If we stay firm it could happen. You know, anything's possible. You put your mind to it.
I guess we can't go out. We can't go all out. So family, support the products created by your brothers and sisters. Lila Poete, she produced a wonderful book, Perceptions of a Misplaced African. Visit lili.poetespeaks.com to get your copy, or you can shoot over to Amazon. Purchase the Meltrek film for your babies. We talk about being conscious, but if you're conscious, what are your babies watching? We can't call ourselves conscious and allow our babies to sit in front of the television and watch animations produced by Nickelodeon, Pixar, Disney, Cartoon Network. Who else, y'all? I mean, I'm so out of the loop. But we have to, if we're conscious, then we need to be showing our children conscious films, right? This is a conscious film, Meltrek. All right, it's a film that's an animated series that teaches children the history of African people from an African perspective or Afrocentric perspective. Visit AdAnimeProductions.com to get your copies of the films. In my hand, I'm holding the DVD, but the film is also available in digital format. Get them the film, get them the Meltrek coloring and activity book. All right, wonderful book to have. We just released the Meltrek Exploring Ancient Africa storybook. I'm very proud of this book. This book, not only does it reinforce the information presented to children in the Meltrek film, Meltrek Episode 1 film, it also expounds on some of the information that we presented in the film. So I'm telling you, this is a quality book. I mean, let me get closer. The images are high def. The images are high def. I don't know if you can see it, but it's high def images on gloss paper. All right. The book also contains, I mean, this is wonderful, images of Black kings and queens, all sorts of stuff. So you ran out here and took your children to go see Panther, and then they went home and started watching Disney again, started reading books by Dr. Seuss. Anyway, it contains a glossary, all right, to expand your child's vocabulary, beautiful glossary, and also a bibliography. So when they get older, they want to read deeper into some of the information. They have a bibliography. All right, beautiful book. Visit AdAnimeProductions.com to get your copy. It's a wonderful book. I wish I had something like this when I was younger, a storybook that taught me about myself and the history of my people. So wonderful book to have. Visit AdAnimeProductions.com to get your copy of the storybook. And Brother Travis, I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of thick.
I see that.
Yeah, it's not.
Make sure you give us that website where we can download the video also, because I wanted to download and watch that video.
Oh, the video is on AdAnimeProductions.com. So just go to Google search engine, type in Meltrek. Once you type in Meltrek, links to our website are gonna populate. Click on the website and you can go right there and download the film. But look at this, Brother Travis. I mean, look at this. In the film, we talk to the kids. We tell the kids that Zosar built the famous step pyramid, but he didn't build this famous step pyramid. He had it. It was commissioned. Yeah, Imhotep did. That's right. And so, look at this.
That's right.
So we have a page dedicated to Imhotep, and of course, his name is, as you can see, his name is in red, so that means that it's in the glossary.
That's nice.
Yeah. So you have Imhotep. We talked to the kids about the pyramids of Giza. They learned that. Different people we mentioned in the film, like we mentioned Hatshepsut, we mentioned Tut, we mentioned Akhenaten, we mentioned Tutmosis II. You always have this map, to show where Ghana is located, where Kemet's located, and beautiful. Thank you so much. We talked to them about griots and Sundiata Keita, Mansa Musa. Beautiful book. Beautiful book.
I need to get that for myself. I don't know griots. What was griots?
No, griots. Griots were just griots were the people who they were like storytellers.
Oh, storytellers. Okay.
They preserved the history of
griots.
Yeah, I say griots. You say griots. I always say griots, but you're right, griots. And look, here's the definition right here. In the book.
Oh, okay.
We got a little definition: storytellers, historians, and musicians in Africa. So we break down. Well, you say griot, I say griot as the T. I don't pronounce the T, but yeah. But beautiful book, man. So I think that all children should have this book in their collection. And like you say, you get it for $17.99. You definitely get your money's worth.
Absolutely.
All right.
How's that selling? Is that selling pretty good, that book?
Oh yeah, it's been selling. I mean, I have people ordering 5 copies a whop.
Wow.
Like go to the website, ordering 5 copies. Tomorrow, a digital version of the book will be available. We just got to get it up there tomorrow. Yeah, they've been going. People have been buying 2 at a time, 3 at a time, and I guess giving them out to children in the family. And I'm just like, for $17.99, I mean, you can't beat it.
That's beautiful, beautiful work, artwork. Who does your artwork? Got a brother doing that, a sister doing that?
Oh no, we got like 13 cartoonists that we work with, but our main cartoonist is Harvey Kahn, who's a brother that lives in Louisiana.
Okay, he's very talented.
And he's on Facebook, so he actually helped us to design. He designed these characters, so we came at him with an idea. Characters didn't look like this initially. We took our characters to another level. So that's Harvey Kahn.
Okay.
Yeah, so we work with about 12 or 13 cartoonists. But yeah, so if I was a parent, I would get the film, the storybook, and then the coloring book. You know, to really ingrain the information into the mind of my child. So you can visit edanimaproductions.com to purchase these products. Core Oral, Black-owned and operated toothbrush company. Get your Panther wear. Get your tennis shoes. I always say Nike who, Adidas who, Puma who. Got brothers and sisters who are manufacturing their own tennis shoes.
Who's that brother bringing those over?
No, this Panther wear is by brother Mike and brother Benjamin Njai. This is brother Ank's shoe, Abju wear. Got his shoe too.
Okay.
All right.
That's nice. I like that.
Oh yeah, I love them. Gotta support. So that's been my thing.
So both of them selling tennis shoes.
You got Benjamin Njai, you got brother Ankh, you got brother Tariq Edmonds. Who else is selling shoes? Nagash. So it's at a point, brother. It's at a point, brother Travis, where you don't have an excuse anymore. You know how we used to say that, oh, I don't support Black-owned businesses because they don't have the products that I need. Well, now we have toothbrushes. We have laundry detergent. We have batteries. Look at that organization. I think the name of it's called, let me go up. Tubman Battery, first Black-owned battery company launched Black History Month. So a Black-owned and operated company, now they make batteries. So why are you still buying Duracell or Energizer? You get what I'm saying? It's at a point where now we have our own products and services. So we need to change. We need to break our brand loyalty at this point. You know what I mean? Stop buying Colgate, buy Core Oil. Instead of buying Tide, buy True Laundry Detergent. Instead of wiping your ass with Scott, go get Freedom Paper by Freedom Paper Company. They sell toilet paper, tissue paper.
What's the name of that company?
It's called Freedom Paper. You can go to freedompaper.com. So now you have brothers and sisters who supply, who provide us with the goods that we need for our household. So now we have to support them. We got to support the producers in our community to enable them to continue to produce. So with that said, family, I love you. Have a safe and productive week. See you back here next Sunday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to discuss Chapter 24, Blueprint for Black Power. Peace and Black Power.
Peace.